Wait. Yo, help, my kid has been using AI to win arguments with me. That's funny. Well, honestly, you have to say if it's expanding his intelligence to be able to use that, you know, those arguments later now that he knows it. It's better than just not knowing anything, you know what I mean? Because there's so many of us that kind of have an inclination towards an answer, a bias, you know, if you will, but we just don't have the wherewithal or the, you know, work ethic to go dig up that answer and then formulate it. So if AI can help us with that, I feel like it skips 50 steps and immediately makes you smarter. I just had a TikTok blow up for 3 million views. Super pumped about it. That's sick. What's your TikTok about? Were you dancing? How's it going, guys? What it do? It's good to see you. Thank you for your existence. Thank you for letting me exist. Thank you to the CIA for funneling billions of dollars to destabilize almost every other country. It's really fucking interesting. Isn't that weird? I kind of get, maybe you, I kind of get, you know, if you're not on the offensive, then you're gonna get left behind, but I don't know, man. I just imagine how close we could be to some sort of abstract concept of a utopia, but it's there's just some entity that's just always working in the background to fund and foment and think of new ideas in which to destabilize society. It's just so, yeah, and they've been doing it since the fucking 70s. Yeah, that is so fucking weird, man. I mean, it's impressive, honestly. But I just wish that they would, you know, maybe do a philosophical shift from the top down. Maybe just be you know what, from now on we're going to actually focus on not just the hegemony of the United States, but maybe the overall good of mankind. Changeling Blaze, thank you for the 23 months, almost 2 years, says I finally joined again. And with good news, I'm finally streaming on Twitch and getting my dreams off the ground. That's awesome. What are you streaming? And how do you plan to blow up? I'm on X also. I only have X and YouTube. I was on X before, but you know, I see all the good tweets on Instagram anyways, you know what I mean? I'm sure you guys stumble across Instagram pages that have, or posts or whatever, that just have a bunch of funny tweets. But I never stumbled across those kind of funny tweets just by my own scrolling on Twitter, you know? So I just never really saw or understood the purpose of Twitter, and all my tweets suck. None of them went viral, so I never got that dopamine rush. How am I enjoying Cult of the Lamb? I'm really enjoying it, honestly. It's addictive. It's this mix of Farmville and Animal Crossing, but just with Binding of Isaac combat. It's just fun. And I'm I finally figured out a system to build a lumber mill, build a rock mill, build multiple refineries, and I'm just And I finally I didn't realize this, but you could sell seeds and flowers and all this kind of stuff for gold. So you pretty much have unlimited gold. I was having trouble with stuff. Is this live or pre-recorded? This is live. There's a lot of yapping with some storytelling involved. How many watch on Twitch? I think it's usually like average of 1 to 4 people. Right now we got 1 over there. What am I hydrating on? We got some water. Notifications on Twitch. Bit haven't gotten YouTube alert. Yeah, that's the thing, is like Twitch notifies you like instantaneously. Like it'll zap your ass to let you know that someone's live, but YouTube just does not prioritize live streaming, which kind of fucking sucks. And I mean, they barely prioritize people's videos most of the time, which I just find silly, you know. I mean, I just think like an overall better money make, and I understand people get annoyed and they unsubscribe, but I also think it's just sort of like, I don't know. I think they should put a priority on annoying people a little bit more, you know? At least send me an email. I'll get to it later. YouTube did alert you. Are you here? Thank God, Riki. Thank God. I got the Twitch notification, but I haven't got the YouTube one yet. That's funny. Well, hey, you know what? You can follow me on all platforms. Follow me on Instagram as well at letsread.official, and just get notified on everything. You'll never miss one. I got canker sore as big as a fucking nickel. I'm literally dying. What's a canker? That's on the inside of the mouth, right? Canker sore. What is it like? Is it like salt water or like something like that cleans it out? What is the origins of that? How to prevent canker sores. Avoid trigger foods. Spicy, acidic, salty foods can irritate the mouth and lead to sores. Nutrient-rich diet. Ensure you're getting enough B, vitamins, zinc, iron, and folate. Deficiencies can risk. What the hell is what are the origins of them? What are the origins of them? Sorry. Saltwood. Genetic predisposition. Canker sores often run in the family, suggesting not fully understood. Interesting. But yeah, I guess nutrient deficiencies, vitamin B12, iron, folate, zinc. Are you also anemic as well? Immune system response. Canker sores will lead to the immune system overreaction. The body can attack healthy cells in the mouth, causing inflammation, ulceration. Oh, okay. Citrus fruits, tomatoes, chocolates, coffee, spicy foods trigger sores. Oh yeah, I wonder if it's kind of like acid reflux in that regard. Some people say that. Stress and hormones, such as during menstruation or PMDD, can trigger. Huh. Salt water, but Himalayan salt. Okay. And then what does that do? Just kind of like clean it out? David, thank you for the 2. Anyways, what's new, guys? Let's ask ChatGPT. You guys can tell me too. Anything cool going on? Anything new and exciting as of today? Question mark. You get them with lupus. You're wasted? What are you drinking? Australian policy changes. In Queensland, with the health minister has defended a ban on prescribing puberty blockers in public hospitals, citing concerns about unauthorized services potentially harming children. Additionally, the Australian Conservation Foundation has praised the launch of a national green icon investment fund aimed at transitioning to greener steel production methods. Middle East conflict, the tragic deaths of the youngest Israeli hostages, 2-year-old Kiefer Bibas, his 5-year-old brother Ariel, and mother Shiri Bibas have been confirmed. They were taken hostage by Hamas in 2023. And oh wait, is that how long that's been? Or is it, I thought man, time goes by fast. And their deaths underscore the ongoing tensions in the region. Media industry updates. Megyn Kelly has announced a new podcast titled AM Up. I don't care. Pentagon Media Policy Department of Defense has introduced a new annual media rotation program, resulting in the removal of major news organizations such as the New York Times, NBC News, National Public Radio, and Politico from their in-house offices at the Pentagon. They will be replaced by outlets including... What? That's so interesting. They will be replaced by outlets including One American News Network and Breitbart News Network. What the hell? Dude, this is like the weirdest shit, you know what I mean? Because isn't there like a continuity of leadership usually within like the Pentagon? So that's why I'm kind of like just wondering if like we're like slowly shifting towards this more, you know what I mean, like the right-leaning patriotic types. And I'm like, are they just like, trying to prepare us for some sort of war? You know what I mean? Because, you know, like post 9/11, they like got everybody real patriotic so they go die for their country or whatever. And I'm just kind of wondering if that's like what we're slowly putting in the foundations for next, you know? Cam Jar, welcome back for 38 months. Happy 38 months. I have acid reflux and also got your live notification. Perfect. Every time you get acid reflux, you know that I'm live. Joey might need to do airplane horror stories or airport due to all these airplanes going down. Do that. I mean, objectively speaking, if you look at the causes, like supposedly they're unrelated, but I mean, maybe it's like we're just paying attention more. But that one landing in, I think, Ontario with the high winds and just like rolling over, it's like, what the fuck, man? Everybody thankfully survived. Some were in like critical condition, which is sad, one of them being a kid. But Jesus, man, like I just, you know, it's a little scary thing. You put your life, and it's weird to think that the majority of the crazy shit happens like more towards the ground, you know. Pet store incident in New Jersey. A pet store owner in New Jersey, Katrina Rukavishnikova, was attacked with a crossbow by a regular customer, Raymond M. Carey, despite being shot in the face. Rukavishnikova returned to work the next day, demonstrating remarkable resilience. She returned to work. She just has a fucking arrow. When I took an arrow to the face. A bolt. Carey has been arrested and charged with first-degree attempted murder. Jesus, bro. At a fucking pet store? What was the motivation for the attack? Question mark. Which he maybe thought she was a zombie or something? The Walking Dead. As of now, authorities have not disclosed specific motive. Okay. We should just stay in the air all the time and avoid the scary stuff. True. It'd be nice if we, I don't know, had like more futuristic, like, I don't know, it'd be nice to have like a sick boom in the industry of growth. Joel, 1 teaspoon Himalayan salt, 1 teaspoon baking soda and water, mix well. It will hydrate you and balance your pH and get rid of the migraines. Miracle drink. Well, it's not me, but yeah, I guess that's for whoever. I never have any migraines, thank God. That would be miserable, though, to deal with. All right, friends. Let's get it. Moon Lady with the 10 says, hey, I wanted to say my girlfriend proposed to me a week ago. I'm just so happy. Me and her love your channel. I'm also making a short film based on a true story you read. The one about, what's it say? Card heaves. Card heaves? Oh, card thieves. Oh, the Pokemon thing. Yeah, and undercover cops. Well, shit, we're about to read some more cop stories, and congratulations to you two. That is amazing. And best of luck with the production of the film there. I know that can be a bit... Well, hey, if you need a narrator for it, in any part, you know, even if just a transition of the story like the Crypt Keeper or some shit, let me know. I'm totes down. Thank you again, Moon Lady, and congratulations. Bro, I got this monthly shot that made my migraines completely stop. It's insane. What's that? And what's the cause? There's an ingredient in cat food that is a precursor to meth. Well, I guess that makes a lot of sense, because a lot of like chemical compounds are just like one fucking step away from turning you into a Trevor from Grand Theft Auto. These stories be perfect for Jacob. I know, if only he would show his dang face around here more often. He always shows up after the stream to leave a comment, tell me about the important lore updates of his life, but I want to hear about the lore of his life right now, live. Thanks, Clifford. Good to see you. And thank you guys for being here. Click like, click share. Once again, we got cop stories here. Sodium won't hydrate you. I guess it just depends on the ratio to water, because sodium, the NaCl does kind of like hold it, like that's why sometimes when people get too much salt, they get a little puffy, because it's like definitely holding on to quite a bit of fluid within the body. But I think at certain ratios, on like smaller amounts, it can help hydrate you. I mean, that's kind of like what's primarily in what's it called, Gatorade and shit, all that kind of stuff. I drive and live in my rig, fell asleep to your stories, my 10-hour break, and have your soothing voice. Thank you for what you do. You're welcome, Amy. Thank you for delivering goods. We appreciate a contributor to commerce, so I can get all my what do I get? I get like big black dildos from Amazon and stuff like that. The huge. My daughter's a big fan of your YouTube channel, and after doing a bit of listening myself, I reckon that I've got a story that you might be interested in. My daughter's heard this story about 100 times by this point, but I figured that she'll get a kick out of hearing you retell it in your own inimitable... Damn. I was not ready for this word. Jensen with... Welcome back for 56 months. How many is that? Amy told me in confidence she likes to order... Oh my god. And you revealed her secrets, Jensen. You give away all of our secrets. He's like the eunuch from Game of Thrones, going from place to place. I heard the king likes to dingle his schmingle. What are you doing, Jensen? Where have you been? Inimitable. Inimitable. It means... Damn, my internet's slow. So good or unusual as to be impossible to copy. Unique. Oh, that's nice. You learn something every day. Selling cars, sold 2 today. Nice, dude. Jensen, what is the best car that literally cannot crash in the snow? I look it up and people sit there and say Subaru, but I really don't want to drive a Subaru. You know what I mean? It just, yeah. A VW Bug, really? Like the newer ones? You can only drive Subaru if you're a lesbian. It's true. It's a limited edition sales. I mean, they are nice, honestly. It's just, I'm just not really vibing with Subarus. It's not my style. Toyota. Yeah, I've heard Subaru, Toyota. I was curious about like Audi and like BMW. You know what I mean? Like I've never really had nice cars, but I'd rode in my buddy's like BMW, and it was like he was just ripping through the fucking ice and snow. And it was just, I was just like, holy shit. Like I never once like felt uncomfortable in it as we were like going through a storm. A horse. Yeah, a horse would be cool. Range Rover's feeling spicy. That'd be sick. Front wheel cars are pretty good in snow. Really? I figured that would be the opposite with the 2-wheel drive. Unless there's something I'm not considering. Even shitty driver from North Dakota, all of them drive a Super Poo. Yeah, I mean, I guess if it works. You play any Avowed or not? I haven't yet. I watched some gameplay. I mean, I won't put it down. Honestly, it's one of those ones where I feel like I'm just going to pick up just to kind of like go through, because I really did like Skyrim, and I really do like fantasy games, especially when it's like real-time combat, you know what I mean? But I watched a little bit of gameplay, and the combat looked a little stiff. You know what I mean? And maybe it was because the enemy characters weren't really reacting to getting hit as far as animations go. It was just kind of like you would see the health bar go down and they wouldn't react until the ragdoll kicked in upon death. But, who gives a shit? You know what I mean? I'm down to play a Skyrim clone. I'm in a state of existential despair and cannot sit with my thoughts anymore. Therefore, I fall asleep to your videos, and thus you narrate both my dreams and my nightmares, so thank you for that. You're welcome. I guess there's not much difference between them sometimes. Your Pathfinder with 4-wheel drive is pretty rad in the snow. Nice. I guess it all depends. My daughter's heard this story about 100 times by this point, but I reckon that she'll get a kick out of hearing you retell it in your own inimitable. Damn, why is that? Inimitable. It's just like one of those tongue twisty type words. Inimitable. You really got to pronounce every syllable. Inimitable. There we go. My daughter's heard this story about 100 times by this point, but I reckon she'll get a kick out of hearing you retell it in your own inimitable style. It took ages to write, so give it a read and let me know what you think. I was born in October of 1959 at the Oxford Street Maternity Hospital in Liverpool to a Jamaican mum and an English dad. I had quite a happy childhood. My dad was a docker, so he brought home a decent wage, and my mum worked 2 days a week as a seamstress. And so all in all, we were quite well off, and I've got a lot of happy memories of being a kid. But then in 1969, less than a week after we all gathered around the telly to watch the Yanks put a man on the moon, my mom sat me down at the dinner table and told me Dad wasn't coming home. There had been an accident on the docks, he'd been hurt, and after they took him to hospital, he'd sadly gone to heaven to be with Nana and Granddad, and it wrecked us. Mom couldn't make the same wage my dad had, so we had to move out of the nice house that we had just off. Okay. What do I think about oatmeal raisin cookies? Oh man, is it the one with a cream in the middle? Those are good as shit, dude. Should you put some chili in your hot chocolate? That sounds a little gross, but honestly, at the end of the day, it depends on how high you are. If you're real high, I say go for it. Who knows? How do you think Italians invented pizza? And look at us now, we're all fat from it. Do I know the story about the purple aki? No, what's that? Mum couldn't make the same wage my dad had, so we had to move out of the nice house we had just off Prince Avenue on Toxteth. God damn it. Also, I'm gonna not say where he lives. I don't know why people fucking dox themselves. It's such an awkward thing. I grew up and live currently at this address. When you prefer oatmeal raisin over chocolate chip, you're getting older. Well, imagine chocolate chip with buttercream between 2 cookies. Motherfucker, that sounds amazing. Mom couldn't make the same wage my dad had, so we had to move out of the nice house we had and into a much smaller flat. She struggled with the grief and drank a lot to numb the pain, so she was either at work all day or at the Caribbean Center getting drunk until they kicked her out. And I don't blame her. She'd lost her soulmate, but it left me and my sister to fend for ourselves in a lot of ways. And don't get me wrong, she always made sure that there was food on the table, but the hard truth of it is that probably from the age of about 12, I was brought up on the streets by the blokes that ran them. By the time my dad passed, the youth culture in Liverpool was becoming less and less about pints and ciggies, and more about pills and ganja. Not ecstasy pills, mind you, more like uppers and downers and all of that. But while the pints were legal, the pills and the ganja weren't, and there was a lot of money to be made trading them if you could stomach the lifestyle. And by the time I was 15, so around late 74, 75, a lot of the lads around Toxteth, or Liverpool 8 as we called it, had graduated to selling heroin and cocaine, not just ganja, since there was loads more money to be made in that, and the networks expanded massively. Some of my old mates from back then used to run bags for a few quid on the weekends, and over time, things got worse and worse. Just a few months before my 20th birthday, the Toxteth riots of 1981 in the south central portion of Liverpool. Had this up. Am I saying that right? Toxteth? Toxteth, Liverpool. Okay, we got it. Ladies and gentlemen, we got it. How's things? They're good. Today was, you guys will be proud of me. I've been doing my cardio. But the way that I've been doing my cardio is I put on like a weighted vest, and then I walk on like a treadmill that's set at like the highest resistance or whatever. Today it was like 30 minutes, and then I just sit there and watch Hearthstone videos on my phone. But it actually makes me sweat a lot, and I feel like my heart rate, isn't too crazy. It's not like, it doesn't, basically it's something that makes me sweat that like, I don't hate it, you know what I mean? So, on top of doing my like typical weightlifting, I do that afterwards, and it's kind of a nice finisher. Played a lot of Hearthstone. The game is crazy addicting. Yeah, it's Hearthstone Battlegrounds. So it's kind of nice because everybody starts off on the same foot, aside from like getting a specific hero. I tried the normal Hearthstone mode or whatever it's called when it, not when it first came out, but a few years after. And when I realized that I had to like buy packs to like get the cards that I needed to like defeat other people, it was just, and I couldn't use the baseline stuff. I thought that was kind of lame. And then I discovered Battlegrounds, and I found it to be pretty addicting. I'll actually just like sit there and watch videos like as I go to bed every night. That's kind of become like a routine for me. Hearthstone is so rewarding, satisfying. Exactly, the packs are so expensive and not worth it. Yeah, and just knowing that most of that stuff is like digital, like I can already tell when I play Battlegrounds, like that the system has already decided if it wants me to win or not. You know what I mean? Because it's so blatantly obvious whenever it like wants you to go to a certain direction with a tribe, but then whenever you get absolutely fucked with like the worst luck ever, it just, you're like, oh, this is the game where I go 8th, top 8. But yeah, a lot of it does feel kind of pay to win. Background music, link in description doesn't work anymore. Shame. Oh, okay. Where does it go? I guess I haven't changed that in a while because it's new. Police used to come to my house all the time to drug test your dad. Damn. Hey Joel, I am visually impaired listener, first time in the stream. I hope you're doing well. Good to see you. Thanks for being here. Been watching you for a while, just started the podcast. Nice, dude. What did you start? It better be about aliens. Just a few months before my 20th birthday, the Toxteth riots of 1981 had the south central portion of Liverpool in flames. The police took a pretty strong battering too. They had to call in riot squads from other cities because they were so outnumbered by the rioters. And afterwards, parts of Toxteth were basically no-go areas for police, as next to lawless as it's possible to get in a so-called civilized society. Crime rose, employment fell, the drug scene exploded, and if you wanted to make something of yourself, you needed to join a gang, or firm, as we called them back then. And so that's what I did. By 1989, I was working with a crew that moved drugs all over England, Scotland, and Wales. The drug scene had gotten bigger and bigger as the years went by, with huge demand from Show us your face. Show me your face. ladies in here aren't as thirsty as they used to be. I remember people wanting to gargle and scratch your beard. I guess it's time has gone on. I say that I'm 34 and everyone's like, oh, yucky. Gargle a beard. That's funny. I thought my eyes were drunk this morning. How long's it's been? Froze. What's froze? Oh, the background, you mean? Would you rather fight a demonic cheese monkey or a chair? It's up in the air, man. I think I could handle both, honestly. Mega, welcome back for 37 months. As some of us still want to gargle his beard. There's still time. There's still hope in the world. The drug scene had gotten bigger and bigger as the years went by, with huge demand for the likes of MDMA tablets and crack cocaine. And then thanks to Liverpool's docks, shipping in ganja and pills from Amsterdam was basically as easy as ordering on Amazon. Damn. Then, thanks to Liverpool's docks, shipping in weed and pills from Amsterdam was basically as easy as ordering an Amazon package these days. Once you'd built up a relationship with someone over in the dam, you phoned them up, placed your order, then within a few days, your ship came in. My partner, Jimmy, and I used to take home 150 quid for every day that we were on the job, when back then that was megabucks, and we worked 6 days a week all year round except Christmas. It was boss money, but he had to work hard for it. Wait, he or we? Probably we. It was boss money, but we had to work hard for it. Jimmy and I worked for a crew ran by a bloke named Jabo, and by '89, we'd been working together for about 18 months. We didn't really do gang names or anything like that. We didn't really do gang names or anything like that. Not like the Crips or the Bloods over in America. Back then, everyone knew who worked with who, so it was all your firm and my firm, and not the Bloody Sharks and the Jets like some Camp Broadway musical. There weren't any proper job descriptions either, not like the Mafia. We didn't have enforcers or capos or consigliers. Anybody here in the Mafia? Consigliere. How do you say it? Consigliere. What's up, mercenary? Consigliere. Okay, we'll go with that. We didn't have enforcers or capos or consiglieres or nothing like that. You just had your boys and your boss. Simple. So when it comes to describing what we did all day, Jimmy and I did a bit of everything. We moved gear, drugs, collected debts, mostly amicably, and did any small jobs that needed doing, be it giving people lifts or dropping off cooking supplies. But we didn't have any kind of official title. We were just George and Jimmy. We didn't need anyone else because our reputations preceded us. Actually, I suppose you could have assigned us each a sort of title or role, something that really summed up what we did, because when it came to collecting cash from people that owed it, I played the good cop, and Jimmy played the bad cop. Jimmy was the cousin of the fella we worked for, Jabo, and he was a complete and utter psychopath. Half the reason I'd been selected to work with him was as a kind of governor, someone who'd stop him from going over the edge whenever he got into one of his moods. The main reason our debt collection always went smoothly is because Jimmy was there, and all I'd have to say is, "Look, mate, it's him or me. So we're going to make the bank, or you going with him?" They nearly always pay up, and the 1 or 2 times they didn't, Jimmy got to cement our reputation even further, and he loved it too. And I mean it when I say he was a psycho. These days, they'll call you a psycho if you go for a jog before work in the mornings. Jimmy, on the other hand, liked jogging on people's faces. He genuinely enjoyed violence, so I never had to partake of any myself. But even with me having seen my fair share of blood growing up, the things Jimmy did were the stuff of nightmares. But the violence was only directed towards people who stole, people who owed money, or people who misbehaved in other more. Okay. I watched Made in Manhattan the other day, and I'm literally a maid, and it made me uncomfortable about the 90s. Real barftastic. Wait, what do you mean? What happened? Made in Manhattan. Would you rather fight a giant mutant sewer rat ape or get stuck on Skull Island 2005 version for 17 years? You get stuck there for 17 years. That sounds like Jacob typing that in there. Would you rather fight a giant mutant sewer rat ape? Giant mutant sewer rat ape. I guess that, probably because the whole entirety of Skull Island would be filled with giant sewer rat apes. Are you and Mr. Nightmare friends? Is not. What is your opinion? Yeah, we're not friends, but yeah, I just, I respect his privacy and his material, and he definitely was a big inspiration to take the channel in this direction and whatnot. And yeah, I'm happy for him. I'm happy. Anybody who can make YouTube happy, I'm happy for them. It's a bit of the old ultra violence. I'm gonna try eat soggy cornflakes with chopsticks. Let's go, baby. It's Jennifer Lopez and some actor I've never seen, and she falls in love with a guy who's running for senator, and it's just so horrible and cringy. Oh, nice, yeah. The 90s had plenty of those rom-coms back then. Would you rather have no phone or no car? Oh, that's a good one, actually. I guess I'd rather just have no phone, honestly. Just go AFK, but still be able to, get around, But I guess at the same time with a phone, you could still communicate and then just get an Uber. What I expect from a J-Lo movie? I expect the movie Anaconda from J-Lo. Did you guys ever see that one? That's probably her best movie. But the violence was only directed towards people who stole, people who owed money, or people who misbehaved in other more minor ways. Conflict with other firms. Conflict with other firms just didn't really happen because everyone stuck to their own turf and there were enough customers to go around. But that all changed toward the end of the 80s, when the surge in demand for the big money makers like heroin and crack meant that there was money flowing around like never before. And I won't bore you with the exact ins and outs of it, or this will end up being a novel, but in 1989, there was a major change of leadership in one of the neighboring firms. This new boss was very ambitious too, and in so many words, thought the firm should let the market decide who buys from who rather than set territories. He starts sending his dealers onto Jabbo streets, Jabbo being our boss, remember, to poach his customers, and then when Jabbo finds out, he sends me and Jimmy out looking for the dealers to give them a firm but polite talking to. But they were not open to any sort of discussion or criticism, and when they turned to threats and insults, Jimmy flipped his lid and battered the pair of them. He didn't just batter them either. He pulled the one lad off of his bike and then used his own front tire to turn his face into a mess of blood and black smudges. And that was one of the few times I felt very little sympathy for the person on the receiving end of Jimmy's temper. We didn't think, though, that that'd start a war. The new boss of the neighboring firm wouldn't take kindly to having his dealer beaten, but honestly, there was a bit of a mutual understanding when it came to younger lads getting lippy with their elders. We thought the new boss would approach Jabbo maybe with an apology, but definitely a demand for money to get his boy's teeth fixed, because good God, did he need it. Instead, the neighboring firm ran up to Jabbo's living room window one night and then blasted the glass in with a shotgun. Jabbo's 2 kids were in there at the time, watching telly. But because they were sitting on the floor in front of it, the shotgun pellets missed them, and they only got a few cuts and splinters after being showered in glass. That didn't matter at all, though, because Jabbo and Jimmy were livid. We went out looking for anyone even remotely associated with the now enemy firm, but we couldn't find a soul. It was like they'd all vanished into thin air. When we get that word, when we then get that. Jabba the Hutt or Pizza the Hut? What about... Yeah, Pizza the Hut. They're going to remake Anaconda with Jack Black. That sounds terrible, honestly. I mean, I did like Jack Black when he did when he's done his more serious roles. I did like him in the King Kong, 2005 version. I just felt like he did a good job in that. But remaking Anaconda after there's been so many sequels and shit, it's just like... who's he supposed to be? Is he supposed to be Ice Cube? Have I not seen The Cell? I have seen The Cell, yeah. It's been... Oh, that's true too, yeah. J-Lo was in that with Vince Vaughn. It's been a long-ass time, though, since I've seen The Cell. I really did like the art and all of that, but it's been so long. I think I have it on DVD, actually. How do you edit together your reads when you stop to read the chat? It's just on a separate microphone, on a separate little memory stick. I have a little start and stop on my recording thing. It's like 2 separate mics stacked on each other. One goes to your ears and one goes into it. Would you rather fight an invasion from car-sized ants or fight a madman who wears human bones as armor? He made weapons out of his victims. I guess it just depends on what I get for the weapons. Nacho Libre's your favorite. Yeah, Nacho Libre was good. Are you going to see the new Final Destination? Honestly, I might. I did like the old Final Destinations. I feel like I remember at one point in the second one with the whole... Yeah, the first one was a plane crash. The second one was iconic because they got the wood log truck or whatever breaking and stuff and dying from that, which has filled many of us with nightmares, the likes of which is similar to people's irrational fear of Jaws. But... at one point, I think in that movie, they interact with Tony Todd. I could be wrong. I think it's Tony Todd who plays an ambiguous guy who works in a crypt at a cemetery or something, and he's supposed to represent death, but he was sort of this mysterious character that gives them exposition to explain exactly how death works in the Final Destination movies. Which then leads you to wonder, how does he know that? What if Jack Black sings to the Anaconda and it blooms a beautiful friendship? I hope so. I hope they go that direction. It was Tony. He was supposed to be the Reaper. Okay, yeah, I like that character for him. Dude, I really... man. I mean, honestly, Tony Todd's dead now, but, I think he had a great life. I genuinely feel like he had a very storied career. He was very talented at everything he did. He seemed like his he had a good family and they liked him and admired him, you know what I mean? It's if ever there was a very just solid life, it would be Tony Todd for sure within that realm of acting. Can't out Pizza the Hut. That's what Tony Todd said to them. Just so you know, you can't out Pizza the Hut. What? Whenever you... When you dodge death the one time, it's gonna get... Okay, I'll come back around, alright. Never mind. What if they brought him back with CGI? Personally, I'm not a fan. Yeah, I mean, the uncanny valley of like CGI and shit like that, and I don't really think that would fit into, especially a reboot of those movies. I kind of understood why they had to bring the Princess Leia into the Star Wars ones, but even that one like looked really fucking weird. What's my go-to hoagie? Oh man, it's been a long time. I do drive by Subways once in a while and I'm like, fuck dude, I'd love to shove one of those in my mouth right now. I haven't watched The Final Destination, but I refuse to drive behind rigs with logs or loose ends. Well yeah, don't watch the second one. That'll put the fear of God into you. Put the fear of the Reaper. We then got word that, basically, the lad had got his face and... Damn it, wait. Okay. We then got word that, basically, the lad that got his face smashed with his own bike tire had gone completely rogue and was on the hunt for Jimmy's family in particular, which obviously meant Jabbo's family too. We had to find Tire Face, as I'll call him from now on, before he found any of us, and unfortunately, he found Jabbo's sister first. He didn't kill her, thank God, but he... Damn, I keep fucking up. I plan on watching 28 Years Later. I definitely do. That trailer was like heavy. But I'll be honest with you, like some of the shots in the trailer were not like... did not necessarily, in my mind, match the same degree of seriousness that I felt like the music in it had, or some of the cinematography. Like, I don't know. I'm a little bit apprehensive on whether it's going to live up to the hype that it has. Because honestly, if you go back and watch like 28 weeks later, or no, 28 days later and 28 weeks later, not to put them down, like they're great. They have great scenes, but they're also kind of mid overall as far as zombie movies go. Like there's a lot of like just kind of parts in it that make you like cringe and wonder why they chose that writing instead of whatever, but still some very iconic scenes and concepts. I will say the zombies in 28 Days Later, even with like such a low budget, just had a certain degree of like power to them and like terrifying sound design and like weight that just like didn't exist in the second one for some reason. Oh yeah, if you haven't seen the 28 Years Later trailer yet, you should go check that out. Oh yeah, the 30 Days of Night vampires. Those were good. Wasn't the dad from like Modern Family one of the head vampires in that? I'm fairly certain. That's why every time I see him in Modern Family, I'm like, this feels weird. 28 Centuries, yeah, we'll get there. He didn't kill her, thank God, but she ended up in hospital in a serious condition, and if you thought Jabbo and Jimmy were angry before, there was nothing on what they were like. That was nothing on what they were like after their sister/cousin was shot. They were bloodthirsty. That's the best way I can describe it. But Tire Face had been clever and had moved all his fun... Dude, fuck me, I cannot find a fucking rhythm. They were bloodthirsty. That's the best way I can describe it. But Tire Face had been clever and had moved all of his family somewhere secret to keep them safe while the war was on. He was pretty decent at hiding himself, too. We were looking high and low, offering all kinds of money for sightings of him, but he was like a ghost. But that couldn't last forever. He was always going to slip up eventually, and when he did, we were going to make him pay for it. Jimmy and I waited, and then we waited some more, running business at basically half capacity while we hunted for Tire Face. Then at about noon one day, I got a call from Jimmy saying that I had to be ready to go by 2 p.m. sharp. And he sounded frantic, and this might sound a bit mad, but he sounded frighteningly happy too. So I knew what was going on, or had a decent enough idea. Someone had either spotted Tire Face someplace, or he was expected somewhere, and we were going to be there when he... 28 years later, 28 light years later, zombies invading other galaxies. Yeah, that's just The Halo Flood. We watched the entire Walking Dead series 2 times all the way through. Did you learn anything on the second go? Aaron with the 5 says, hello, Big Daddy J. How are you? Enjoying the content as usual. Keep up the great work. Thank you, Aaron. I'm doing good, though. Just cruising. Has anyone seen the new Nosferatu? Yeah, it was, honestly, in my opinion, Nosferatu was like one of the best movies of the year. I'm not even joking. Like, it was just so atmospheric. The cinematography was amazing. The sound design was amazing. The acting was amazing. The story itself, it's relatively simple, but it's just good. You know what I mean? It's like a movie that, took itself very seriously and accomplished what it set out to do. Whenever I feel like so many other movies are, I don't know, just written by dumb idiots. So this one actually felt smart, I always get the movie mixed up with the Planet of the Apes, since Cillian Murphy. No, I just realized you get 28 Days Later mixed up with Planet of the Apes, or 28 light years later. Someone had either spotted Tireface someplace, or he was expected somewhere, and we were going to be there when he arrived. Jimmy was mental, but he wasn't stupid. He wasn't going to talk about what we were going to do, especially not in his car, which, for those of you that don't know, is an ideal place for the police to put a listening device, since so much chat goes on during car journeys. We were alright talking football, or just about this and that, but since this car journey was strictly business, we stayed quiet for almost the entire drive. It was a long one too, and I realized that we were heading out of Liverpool quite quickly. We drove until we were on the outskirts of Manchester, and then Jimmy handed me a road map of the area and then told me to find an address that he had written on a piece of paper. I remember thinking, bloody hell, this lad's run off to Manchester and Jabbo still had him. Oh, okay. 28 days late and pregnant? Question mark. Nosferatu with Willem Dafoe. Yeah, I just respect Willem Dafoe as like an actor. He's been in so many movies, and he doesn't always have to be like the front and center guy, you know what I mean? Like, he can play a side character, supporting role, a cameo, you know what I mean? And he just enjoys the process of acting and does an amazing job every time. Have you seen Jurassic Park and the Lost World, Jurassic Park 3, Jurassic Park 4, Fall Kick, I've seen every one of them. I've seen Jurassic Park. I've seen Jurassic Park The Lost World, which is my favorite. I've seen Jurassic Park 3, which was kind of whatever. And then I've seen Jurassic World. And then I feel like I skipped one. And then I may have seen the one after. I think I saw Jurassic World. And then I think I saw the one after that where they were like trying to auction off the dinosaurs. And then at that point I just like stopped giving a shit. And I probably won't see the one with what's her name, Scarlett Johansson, unless I hear it's good. If it's rated R, I'll go see it. If I get to watch people like scream as they're having their leg bitten off by a dinosaur in like graphic detail, but beyond that, I don't know, it's just like always the same like rehashed nonsense. Have I read the book? No, I haven't. Have you? You always watch them to see where the storyline's at. I don't know, I heard that this newest one coming out kind of like retcons or changes up some of the lore from the previous ones, so, or like completely negates it or whatever, so I don't, but I guess at the same time, who's paying attention to the Jurassic Park lore at this point? Please, I need my question answered and no one has answered it. What is it? You gotta ask again. The chat moves kind of semi-fast. Aliens Earth. What is that? Like, they're just like a bunch of aliens all over Earth. Allison, welcome back for 40 months. Says, hey Joel, watching this from my 911 dispatcher job. Thank you for being here. You're welcome. Thanks for doing the dispatcher job. That seems honestly very, in my opinion, very difficult. I think my friend did that down in Florida for a little while, and he said it was like you had to pretty quickly figure out how to turn your brain off to people's pain. "28 days later have monkeys in it." It does, yeah. That's how the virus gets out in the beginning. They're doing tests on monkeys, and then these like sort of activist group shows up to be like, "Hey, dickhead, what are you guys doing with the monkeys?" And they're like, "Oh, no, you have no idea. They're filled with rage." Which, one, if you're like working on like serious biolab stuff, you think you would have like better security than just like a bunch of like, you know, dildo liberals show up and fucking free all your zombie monkeys. But one of them gets bit by the monkeys and it transfers to them, and then that just quickly transfers the virus on and on and on. "Oi, leave them monkeys alone." We were just putting lipstick on him, I promise. "Oh, has this one got a dress?" We're just experimenting. What do I think about Half-Life 2 Ravenholm? It's amazing. Probably one of the best parts of the game, honestly. Wildland firefighter stories. Definitely look into it. I found out the coconut milk that we use at the restaurant uses what PETA called monkey slave labor, and later a girl said that she found coconut milk that says no monkey labor. They didn't use a single monkey to pull the coconuts out of the tree. What would constitute monkey slave labor? Do they actually train them to do it? I remember thinking, bloody hell, this lad's run off to Manchester and Jabbo still had him tracked. And Jabbo has still had. Okay. God, that sounds weird. Oh, they have monkeys working on typewriters at the Coconut Zoo. That makes sense. And Starbucks ain't dealing with it. It's too much of a bad look if they find out that every one of their employees are actually apes. David De La Rosa with the 2 says, "The Monkey by Stephen King looks good." Oh, there's a new Stephen King movie coming out just called The Monkey. The Monkey! I used to watch Talking Mike show. Lancelot Link's Secret Chimp was funny. You really can't go wrong with monkeys. I think as far as humor goes, you know, you got farts and poop and diarrhea, and then you just add like a monkey into that, and then I think you've pretty much achieved all that is funny and been funny for most of human history. We just go back to our roots. I remember thinking, bloody hell, this lad's run off to Manchester and Jabbo still had him tracked down. But that's what it was like working for people with those kinds of connections. Sometimes it was slapstick, other times it was like being in a spy film. But you learn not to ask too many questions. People who keep their mouths shut don't just learn a lot, they live a long time as well. But anyway, we find the address, then Jimmy tells me to get behind the wheel before he gets out and starts walking up the pathway of this nice little cottage-looking place that looked like it was worth a few quid. He walked up to the front door, knocked on it, then pulled a balaclava over his face and barged his way inside when some poor old dear opened up. Maybe a minute later, he reappeared again, but he didn't have Tireface with him. Under his arm, being carried like a rolled-up carpet, was a little girl, no more than about 5 or 6 years old. He basically throws this poor girl in the back seat, climbs in next to her, and then screams at me to drive. After that, it was over to some old abandoned farm buildings near St. Helens, but not before we'd stopped somewhere to give Jabbo a call to let him know that we had a hostage. I thought the idea of taking a hostage was to get Tireface to come out of hiding, and I think maybe at first that was actually the plan. But then at one point, Jimmy drove off to get some food, and when he came back, he was in a terrible state. Jimmy's cousin / Jabbo's sister, who had been shot in the back, had contracted the superbug MRSA while in the hospital. She'd been fighting with it for about a week, but then that same afternoon we kidnapped Tireface's kid. She went into cardiac arrest and passed away. Jabbo and Jimmy were devastated, so in response, Jabbo gave Jimmy the order to kill Tireface's daughter. But he wasn't just going to kill her. He was going to cut her head off, too, so Jabbo could lash into Tireface. Lash it into... Jesus, dude. Also, does this have anything to do with cops? Where's the fucking cop part? This is the opposite of cops. This is the meanie pantses that cops go after. Simpson with a 5 says, I hope they keep coming with more Stephen King adaptations, and he keeps writing, I like how he hates The Shining and loves Stand By Me. Yeah, I guess just because The Shining was like a substantially changed from the original, right? But Stanley Kubrick had to change things so it fit his narrative that he was trying to paint, that he was hired to fake the moon landing and whatnot. Full-blooded white European gypsy American here. Sorry to disappoint. Full-blooded white European gypsy American. Like Romanian? Like full-blooded Romanian? Is that what you're saying? One of the people working with the monkeys had an incident where they were exposed to an infected monkey's blood. Their suit was compromised. They didn't report it and just hoped for the best. Wait, is this in 28 Days Later? What are we talking about? What do I think about Lego Power Miners? Never heard of it, honestly. Is it a new Lego show or a new Lego set? I used to love Legos whenever I was younger. Romanians do not equal Romani. Oh, okay, well then I'm kind of confused. Try to think of the best contradiction. Oh, I see. You were doing a word play there. Interesting. For some reason, I was just like thinking like Romanian was like in like white, so I was like thinking like Spanish, and I just like wasn't sure of like the ethnic makeup or whatever. But whatever. Wendy is the crazy one in The Shining. She is the killer, at least in the movie adaptation. In the movie adaptation, she's the killer? I don't think so, right? Or are you saying there's like some hidden... Romani is gypsy, though. I wonder how they came up with the name Romani for gypsy. Is it because they originated from Romania or something? Also, I don't know why they changed the name of like gypsy. People said a gypsy was like offensive, but like I don't really want to hear that word. I'm just like, it's just a description for an ethnic people. I don't really see why it sounds offensive or anything like that. There are a lot of Romas in Romania. That's probably why people get confused, but they are completely different ethnic groups. Okay, interesting. Yeah, I don't really know any about that area or anything about that. From India. They were brought as slaves from India. Oh. Interesting. And then what? They like genetically changed more into like to looking more European or whatever. She's imagining Jack goes crazy, but it's all in her head. It is pretty crazy. Stanley Kubrick was a freaking genius. Oh, wait. Yeah, I never even heard that interpretation. I think that's why I love that movie so much, is that there's just so many layers you can pull from it for the most part. You don't really get that from horror movies too often anymore. The term gypsy became a slur, apparently. The term gypsy became a thing because it was believed that they came from Egypt. Oh, I never thought of that, honestly. I mean, I assume that... I mean, how do they keep records, or is it all just like word of mouth record keeping within their culture? Do I like dinosaur horror? I know that it was like a dinosaur game on the PS1 that was kind of like Resident Evil, but I never tried it. Are there other dinosaur horror games? They were also brought over from Egypt. That's where the name... Oh, well, now Katie's saying another contradictory statement. Whatever. Turok. Oh, Turok is considered dinosaur horror? I guess so. I do remember playing it, but I just looked at it as more as like an action-oriented shooter. It was kind of... It definitely was very scary to me as a kid, though, for sure. The crazy woman who tried to attack Danny was herself. Oh, and what, she was just like taking a bath or some shit? I don't know. There's just like so much other shit that happened, like implying that he's like a ghost that's been in the hotel forever and just repeating these memories or whatever. And it's, I don't know. It's just hard to make sense of it. See, Katie, now you're a bigot and you're gonna go to jail. You didn't know the words. TikTok is coming for ya. But he wasn't just... Okay. But he wasn't just going to kill her. He was going to cut her head off so Jabbo could lash it into Tireface's lap whenever he finally got his hands on him. We had this girl's hands and legs tied, and she'd actually calmed down a bit because we promised to feed her before taking her back to Mummy and Daddy. But when Jimmy walked back into the old cowshed. Hello, Joel and everyone. It's been a long time since I've been doing live stream. I've been dealing with personal issues with my mother's failing health. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that, Eric, but good to see you. Good to see you. Jurassic Park 2 on the SNES is freaking hard. I've never beat it. Yeah, those games back then were like way too hard. I don't think I've ever beaten a single like Mario game back on the old school stuff. I play it at Cousins and it was just far too difficult. I think more just came down to the frustration that you'd always have to like go back so far and just like restart everything if you ran out of lives. McDonald's don't even have ball pits anymore. That's fucked. Yeah, I never played the Texas Chainsaw Massacre game though. But when Jimmy walked back into the old cowshed, instead of a plastic bag with 3 chippy dinners in it, he had nothing but a rusty-looking hacksaw in his hand. He looked ill, sweaty, shaky, eyes wide and bulging, and I knew what had been... Damn it. And I knew what he had been told to do without having to ask him, and all I could think to ask was, Jimmy, what are you doing? He didn't even look at me, let alone say anything. He just kept on taking these slow, careful steps towards the little girl, and I could see him trying to summon the will to do as he'd been told. I'd been carrying a gun with me ever since the war started, and that day was no exception, so when I pulled it out, Jimmy thought it was me silently saying, let's put her out of her misery first so she doesn't suffer too much. But that wasn't what was about to happen. That was never what was about to happen. And the look on his face when I pointed the gun at him is something I'll never forget. He couldn't believe what he was seeing. He couldn't believe I'd even dare to do something like that. It was his turn to What the fuck is going on? This is turning into The Departed. I used to play NHL on that and I found a way to cheat. That's awesome. Upcoming dinosaur games: Ferocious, Deathground, The Lost Wild, Instinction, Unknown Tapes, Tempest, Triad. Damn, dude, you like dinosaurs. That's cool, though. I mean, dinosaurs are neat. Do you think they're actually real? I think they're made up by the devil. It was his turn to understatedly ask, "What are you doing, George?" But as stunned as he looked in that moment, it was nothing on how he looked after what I said next. I told him to put the knife down and step away from the girl. And that's when Jimmy stated. I told him to put the saw down and step away from the girl. And that's when Jimmy stated out loud that Jabo had told him to kill her because his cousin, Jabo's sister, had died that same afternoon. The girl had to die, blood for blood. I told him that wasn't going to happen and repeated my order to put it down. He took a step toward me. I took one back, and then I told him to put that down and to get on the floor because I was an undercover police officer for Maryside Police, and he was under arrest for kidnap and conspiracy to murder. And for a second, Jimmy looked like he was about to pass out. His mouth flopped open and closed like a caught fish on a riverbank, and his arm, which had previously been pointing that what the fuck just happened? So this guy is undercover, telling the story, and did not. That's kind of interesting. Did not reveal. I mean, that's kind of a great way to tell a story. For a second, Jimmy looked like he was about to pass out. His mouth flat. Okay. How am I doing? Warm, I hope. Yeah. I got a heating source near me. Got the cat is here as well. Wait. Never mind, he's not here anymore. He's very sneaky. And there's the police, yeah. I have them curate the stories for me or find the good ones and stuff, but it's always, I tell them not to tell me about them just so it's kind of like always a surprise. My high school best friend got mad at me when I used the glitch against them. Oh, that's funny. His mouth flopped open and closed like a caught fish on a riverbank, and his arm, which had previously been pointing that hacksaw at me, slowly dropped to his side. He asked me if I was joking. I told him no, that I wasn't messing around and that his only chance to avoid arrest was to get back in the car and F off back to Liverpool. I knew I wasn't physically capable of arresting him, but Jimmy wasn't about to turn down his get-out-of-jail-free card, not while I had a gun pointed at him. After he left, I ran over open fields hand in hand with that little girl until we found a homeowner who had let me use their phone. Now I suppose here's the part where I address the "so that's what I did" line in reference to joining a gang. I did join a gang, a massive one in fact, and we called ourselves the Maryside Police Force. I started to think about joining after the riots because I saw all kinds of people who weren't part of the Toxteth community flooding that area to take advantage. Now don't get me wrong, the police were very heavy-handed with the youth at the time, so I can't forgive the anger, but in the aftermath, you had one of the biggest and scummiest drug dealers in the country making himself out to be a savior of the community, all while he was poisoning it with heroin. I'm pretty scratching the shit out of the fucking couch. Hey, Aaron with the 2 says, because cop capitalized, I read it as COPD. That's funny. True, scary, I can't breathe at nighttime stories. How am I doing? I'm doing it. I'm doing the most. The most anyone's ever done. I'm going hiking tomorrow, so that should be fun. And it's going to be quite snowy. And hiking in the snow is probably the best time to hike. Don't get me wrong, the police were very heavy-handed with the youth at the time, so I can't forgive the anger. But in the aftermath, you had one of the biggest and scummiest drug dealers in the country making himself out to be a savior of the community, all while he was poisoning it with heroin. and it made me sick. And I knew my dear old dad would have been ashamed to see Toxteth take such a dive. So instead of just leaving, like a lot of people did, I decided to stick around to help fix a two-tier problem that I thought was happening. Problems in the community, and problems in the force the police... Fuck. Yes, it's weird, like, even whenever it's, like, snowing, it, like, never really feels too cold, you know what I mean? If it's, like, a heavy snow that accumulates, it's never quite like the other days in winter when the skies are clear. It's like everything's sort of insulated a little bit and peaceful, like you're in some cozy snow globe, you know? I've been dealing with 25 below temperatures here in Minnesota for the last week. It's finally starting to... Damn, dude, 25 below. Now that doesn't sound comfortable. I feel like the lowest it's dropped here has been like 7 degrees, which is definitely a big difference between 7 and fucking 17 and 27. Oh shit, what the fuck? Haven't twerked in many moons. Coming in hot from Ree with a 30. Says, hey Joel, do you miss me? We have a shit ton of snow here in Virginia Beach area. Love you. Good to see you, Ree. What the fuck? It's been a while. Hope you're doing all right. And I'm sorry about all that snow as well. But it's good to, you know, it's good to get it. It's good to have yourself a nice little winter. But thank you so much for the 30. Very, very kind of you. And welcome back. Problems in the community, and problems in the force that policed it. I'd like to think that I put a dent in both during my long career in the police service, but after the incident with Jimmy and the little girl, those dents weren't going to be in Liverpool, that's for sure. I transferred to London after almost everyone in Jabbo's crew, as well as Tireface, was sent down for crimes of varying severity, and spent the rest of my career working my way up the ladder of the Met's undercover department. I helped oversee some incredible investigations in that time, some more successful than others, but I never forgot the day that I betrayed Jimmy and saved that little girl's life as a result. And I'll never forget because I actually kept a little memento of that incident, and it came in the form of the mitigation statement read out by Tireface's solicitor following his conviction for attempted murder. Through his lawyer, Tireface mostly said that he was sorry for everything he'd done, but also issued a personal thank you to the undercover police officer who saved his daughter's life. He didn't know who that undercover officer was, and maybe he's since figured it out, who knows. But knowing he appreciated so much that he'd thank a policeman before being sent to prison, it honestly meant the world to me. Waiting for scary cock stories. They are quite terrifying, aren't they? All sorts of shapes and sizes. You never know what you're going to get. I used to work for Troubled Youth, a ranch out in the middle of nowhere, and the winter was so bad we got snow in and temperatures dropped. That's scary. You never know what be curious if they would ever go like nuts out there. If you guys were like isolated and whatnot. Like The Shining. What do you think about Dying Light the Beast? Dinosaur. That is an amazing actual question. Thank you for asking, because I am so fucking excited for Dying Light the Beast. Reason being is that it's been 10 years. It's been 10 freaking years since Dying Light 1 came out. And in my opinion, Dying Light 1 is still one of the best zombie games, parkour games, and just like graphical marvels that I've played in a long time. And it actually kind of makes me very, very upset that honestly for Dying Light 2 they probably could have just used that same engine to make the new one and saved all sorts of like development hell that they had during COVID and that kind of thing, which I understand. Like when developing a game, it's like things change on the fly all the time, in the same way with making a movie or what. I remember hearing about like Jurassic Park 3, like they changed the script like 6 weeks before starting filming and stuff, so they were like coming up with the script on the fly. But that being said, Dying Like the Beast looks so good. I'm fucking stoked for it, and honestly, I hope just from now on, I hope honestly that they just like remake the entirety of Dying Light 2 in that engine. I would buy it, and I would just like consider that like a full-on. I just want the full-on good. But knowing he appreciated so much that he'd thank a policeman before being sent to prison, it honestly meant the world to me, and it still does, even all these years later. And I visit Liverpool every so often. Sometimes I'll go and see old colleagues, and other times I'll stop by Anfield to watch Liverpool play. I miss the place. It'll always be my home. But it was also worth giving up if it meant giving an innocent little girl a chance to live. This guy with the $2 to stay cool cat. I shall do my best. Oh shit, guys. Alright, how many stories we got tonight? We got 6 in totality. That was an interesting one right out the gate though. GTA 6. Yeah, I'm excited for GTA 6, honestly. I just I hope it's good. That's all I can do. Hope that it's not some like annoying, preachy nonsense that like other games have kind of become. I hope it's like same old crude, offensive, rude, you know, self, you know, the identity. I just started my new job and I wasn't ready for it to be so cold this morning. Could have snapped my fingers off one by one. Damn, yeah. Going to work in the morning in the cold is so terrible. Hey Joel is blorptastic, whizzle-flop, Dubin the Schnargle. It certainly is. But all of those words are slurs on Mickelmop world. So you're gonna be banned soon. What if that's what they changed Gypsy to instead of Romani? They're like, actually, Gypsy is a slur. They actually call them blorptastic, whizzle-flop, Dubin, Schnargles now, so please consider your language. Hey Joel, I found this police report from the 90s at the National Archives. The National Anchovies. I still have the old gaming systems and play them still back in my day. I'm 35, I feel old as fuck. Hey, you know, if you got something I mean, that's the thing, is like, there's old people, not that you're old, because I'm the same age as you, but, you know, you think about like your grandparents and shit, they have like stuff that they've been freaking into since 1902 or whatever. So we deserve to appreciate our vintage game bullshit. I found this police report from the 90s at the National Archives in Seattle. You can basically make an appointment and then spend a few hours reading old police reports and stuff, and most are pretty standard and there's not much of interest about them. But occasionally, you find one like this. Incident at 601 Franklin Avenue. Date 10/11/93. Time 13:22. Reporting officer Deputy Andrew A. Wenzel, 498. Incident description. I received a dispatch call at approximately 1:22 p.m. regarding a male subject at 1433 Murray Drive who was reportedly behaving erratically. The caller described the man as appearing to suffer from hallucinations and was audibly claiming that his skin was on fire. I was expecting the man to be in a state of intoxication, or that perhaps he was suffering some kind of mental breakdown. But upon my arrival at the scene, I was met with a sight that I can only describe as the most disturbing of my entire career. The man, identified later as Paul Weldon, was lying on the front lawn, clearly deceased, with his body severely charred and burned. I immediately secured the area and called for medical and fire department personnel, although it was clear that there was no saving the individual. Witnesses on the scene, including Sharon McManus. Oh, you got the Raycons in? Hell yeah, dude. Are those good? Do you like them? Oh, you know, it was kind of... I actually had to turn down a sponsor on my podcast recently, just because it gave me, like, really sussy perceptions, and maybe I can pick your guys' brain on what you think. But, so, there's this thing called Noom, and I've done Noom before, but it was like... I feel like they were using psychology or something to, like, achieve your goals. It was just kind of like a side concept. Hey, Vixa, thank you for the 5 stars. Recovering from surgery right now. I can already feel your voice healing me faster. My voice does pretty much try to be like a hyperbaric chamber, delivering more oxygen from my mouth into your ears and brain. But Vixa, I'm sorry to hear about the surgery. I'm glad you're doing good, though. Hope you're getting rest. Get lots of protein. And yeah, don't be afraid to get as active as you can as soon as you can, just to increase blood flow and movement in the joint and all that kind of stuff. Even though I don't know what the surgery is, but so what was I even talking about? Yes, Noom. So what is Noom? It's a good surgery. Oh, interesting. Yeah, be careful. I don't even know why I said that, but yeah, either way, be careful. I'm outside your house. Noom offers personalized support for health coaches to keep users motivated on track. Okay, I think that's what that, yeah. Psychological approach focuses on understanding why you eat the way you do, and food tracking, daily lessons. Right. Okay, so it's like weight loss. Yeah, it's like a weight loss thing, but I don't know, they have an approach that's like psychological and motivating, and, you know, just an interesting app that I was like, okay, that'd be great, whatever. But then more like just recently I was asked to do another ad with them that I turned down because they were doing GLP-1 agonists, which, let me just, what is that? So a GLP-1 agonists are a class of medication that mimic glucagon like peptide 1, a hormone naturally produced in the gut. The hormone plays a key role in regulating blood sugar, appetite, and digestion. But what do you, if I were to say that right now, right, what comes to your mind as far as a GLP-1 agonist? I'll give you, yeah, that's Ozempic, bro. It's Ozempic. My fucking people tried to get me to do a sponsor, and they probably had no idea, but they tried to get me to do a sponsor for like an off-brand fucking Ozempic. And I had to respond to them and let them know that there's like literally lawsuits going through right now because, and that's the weirdest thing, is I feel like these lawsuits have been like long in the books, right? Like long, like as soon as it came out on the market, Ozempic or whatever, people were already like suing, you know, because essentially people argue that it causes like gastroparesis or something, or like gastroparalysis, where essentially your body just like stops fucking digesting anything. So a lot of people like throw up, they don't digest anything, so that's why they get like deathly ill. But from what I've heard, like people who get on Ozempic, like some people have success with it for like controlling your blood sugar or some shit, but I mean it is like a, I don't know, decreases glucagon. Okay, so which to me is like not great either, decreasing glucagon. But the point being is that like it causes like your body's ability essentially to like not digest anything. You throw up, whatever, you basically become anorexic, and like during that process you lose fat, sure, but you also lose a lot of your lean muscle, like 40% of your lean muscle I was hearing, and you lose like bone density. So like you become you get osteoporosis and shit like that. And I'm just like, what the fuck? Like, and the weirdest part is you're hearing about all these lawsuits, and then you're like simultaneously hearing Ozempic commercials on the fucking Super Bowl. And I'm just like, Jesus Christ. Normally they put out these like miracle drugs and it takes like 20 years, and then at 3 a.m. people say like, were you on Ozempic? Have you or a loved one suffered from whatever? But dude, they're in the process of like releasing it. The lawsuits are like happening, and it's just like kind of funny to see it all like occurring in real time. So I don't know if you see anybody like promoting, I guess, a GLP-1 agonist, just be sure to let them know that it probably is not good for them. Yeah, just lose weight with amputation, easy peasy. I don't know. Ozempic to me is just like they're like, oh shit, the pharmaceutical companies are like, oh shit, we have to take responsibility for mass producing and causing like an opioid epidemic in the majority of the population. I got it. Let's release another drug that also destroys like normal people as well, you know, and celebrities and stuff. So I mean, there's going to be, I imagine like I am having a vision of the future, and it's the entire Ozzy Osbourne clan and family going on like some sort of like Oprah show or some shit, and they're all like, we had no idea what it was doing to us. We thought it was just helping us lose weight, increasing metabolism, but actually it was slowly eating us from the inside out. If we would have known, Ozzy would still be here. I don't know. It's just, you know, it's just a hypothetical vision I had. Yeah, the Super Bowl commercial is so weird. There's no other pill to take, so swallow the one that makes you ill. Yeah. That's too coherent. Yeah, it's sobered up. Thankfully, I got back on heroin, and it kind of sorted me out a bit. If I figured myself out, I got off the, and I didn't really need any food anymore because I was on that. You have to make sure your mom isn't still using the drug. Now I'm scared for her. Well, I mean, I've heard it's like beneficial in whatever doses they use for certain diabetics that are uncontrolled, but it, you know, I mean, I've also heard really, really, really bad outcomes for the general population who will end up on it. So, I mean, if she's losing weight, I would just at least have her, you know, voice those concerns with the doctor. Gastroparesis isn't really a side effect. It's literally a mechanism of action of the drug. Well, yeah, exactly. That makes it even worse, is that it's essentially just making it so your whatever you would define as a metabolism, like your body's ability to break down and use calories or whatever, like within food and its base nutrients, just like kind of come to a screeching halt. And it's like, sure, of course you're going to lose weight when your body like doesn't know what to do with anything. So it just like turns it into like inert shit, or fucking you vomit it all up because it's just stuck in there. Playing Fortnite? Hell yeah, dude. Get that W. He's doing one of his last shows in your home, Eric. You're gonna go to that? So gastroparesis does not stop when you stop the med. I don't know. I guess we can ask just to see. Does gastroparesis stop once you stop taking it? ? Oh, great AI, tell me the truth. Gastroparesis caused by GLP-1 agonists is usually temporary and is often improves after stopping the medication. Short-term use, if gastroparesis symptoms develop while taking the medication for a short period, they usually resolve within days or weeks. Long-term use with extended use, the stomach may take longer to return to normal, but permanent gastroparesis is rare. Most people see improvement within several weeks. Okay. How to support recovery. Eat smaller, more frequent meals to avoid high-fat or high-fiber foods that slow digestion further. Hydration. Drink plenty of fluids to avoid dehydration if you experience nausea or vomiting. Medication. In some cases, doctors may recommend prokinetic drugs like metoclopramide to speed up gastric emptying during recovery. Alright. Jeez, there's gonna be a whole fucking market of people recovering from Ozempic. What happened to the sound? Did the sound go off? Not anymore. Or wait. It popped. Oh, it popped. It was the deep state, yeah. It was China. China's pissed. That was their drug to turn everyone into a zombie. But we stopped it. We found, we connected the dots. Witnesses on the scene, including Sharon McManus, provided a consistent account of what had transpired. They stated that after running up and down the street, screaming about his skin being on fire, the man had suddenly burst into flames. He then collapsed to the ground and continued to burn intensely. They also described how the flames seemed to suddenly and inexplicably extinguish themselves, leaving the man's body severely burnt, yet without any apparent external source of ignition. What was particularly baffling and unsettling to all those who attended the scene was the condition of the surrounding area. There were no signs of scorch marks or any indication of fire spread on the grass or nearby objects. The lawn around the deceased appeared untouched by fire, which defied any logical explanation or previous experience I have had with fire-related incidents. The fire department also confirmed no accelerants were present and that the lack of fire damage to the area surrounding the body was highly unusual. This case remains open, with investigations into possible spontaneous human combustion or other as yet unexplained phenomena. The medical examiner has taken custody of the body for further examination, and statements from all witnesses are being processed. This incident has left an indelible mark on my career, not just for the visual horror, but for how difficult I find rationalizing it. It's something that I doubt I will ever fully understand or ever fully forget. Deputy Andrew Arthur Wenzel, 498, Carson County Sheriff's Office, Texas. Andrew A. Wenzel. Andrew Arthur Wenzel, okay. Rhubarb crisp or apple crisp? Probably apple crisp. I don't remember ever enjoying rhubarb. I can't tell you, I gotta thank boy, I'm free live right now. I had my first counseling appointment, desperately need to relax with some stories. No worries. Good to see you. I get to accompany your voice, put me to sleep. I'm awake again. Welcome back. Dateline or Unsolved Mysteries? I don't know, honestly. Do I like rivels in soup? I'm not even familiar what the heck a rivel is. It sounds like some sort of little marmoset. Rivels. Are they like a legume? Legume? Favorite color? I definitely lean towards green, like the green of the astronaut on my channel, that kind of thing. Bluish green is cool too. Do I live in PA? You know, never had the full Rivals experience. Is it an Amish thing? I guess, I'm sure, like if I had like chili or something, I mean, it looks like people put it in like chicken soup, baked potato soup, chicken corn soup. Oh yeah, authentic Amish Rivel. I know, I'm not a true Pennsylvaniite. I'm not a true Amish. They're dough balls. Oh, okay. What am I looking at then? If they're dough balls, then I need to have that ASAP. Alright, story 2 of 6 in the books. Joel's Canadian. No, I'm not Canadian. What's my favorite war crime? Oh man, dude, I mean, everything we've listened to that Japan has done before they got into like Hello Kitty. It kind of blows my mind. But as of more recent war crimes, you know, the Uyghurs in China, I feel like everybody forgets about them. It's kind of weird how, like, I don't know, just how, like, dystopian China is for the most part. But, like, everybody who operates within, like, business, it's like, you know, they all have to, like, honor China. I think isn't Blizzard back in the good graces of China again or something like that? They kissed the foot of Mao Zedong and now they're good again. How much of my audience is mentally ill? I think probably at least 95%. We did a survey before and most of them were, and we're confirming that. We can do that right now. Let's see. Start a poll. Are you mentally ill? Question mark. Yes. No. Start poll. Cast your vote now. Wonder if there's like a scientific font of text that's just been like proven to be the most legible font, you know what I mean? Any of my own supernatural paranormal experiences? I've had some stuff. Nothing, not so much as of late. I thought a guy at the gym was going to tell me a paranormal story. But basically what happened was he does real estate and he got called out to like a very rural area because somebody wanted to look at a cabin, but they wanted to look at it at night and they said now was the only time they could do it, so they were like in a hurry. And his gut instinct said, you know, that it was quite weird, and then he has to drive like 30 minutes to get out to this very isolated cabin. And when he gets out there, these cars are like not parked directly in front of the cabin, but a little bit further in the parking like areas, and the parking area like almost towards the entrance of where you could park. And he like rolls up and he's like, "Hey, are you guys here to see the house?" And like he said they were kind of like oddly crouched behind their car or something like that. Or like, yeah. And then you know, pulled down. He like pulled down, does like a 3-point turn to like turn around, and at that moment as he's pulling back towards them, they like take their car and like block his exit, and then he just does like a quick maneuver and like zooms around them or whatever and just like is on the run. But I'm fairly certain that they were going to like rob him or maybe do worse. I don't know. Do I nod slump? Is that when you're on the good? What are your thoughts on VTubers? I mean, they seem fine. I mean, I guess in some weird way, I'm kind of a VTuber. Like if I had, you know what I mean? I don't show my face, and I like could be, like I could put like some sort of character on there or whatever. But I guess it just depends on who they are, honestly, or how they act. But if there's like sort of like a weird crossover with the like hyper weeby type ones, or like I don't know, I feel like I just imagine like they're very weeby, you know? It just gives you kind of like a strange vibe, I suppose. Think about Canadian war crimes. I'm not familiar with Canadian war crimes. What has been going on with them lately? Blame Canada, blame Canada. There's a channel that came up on my YouTube feed that's blatantly ripping off your channel name called Let's Read Horror Stories. Yeah, I don't know. I think I saw you mention that, and I went to it, and I didn't see what specifically they were. Like, they rip off the name, but I was, when I looked at the stuff, it looked like it was just like a shitty AI thing with, like, that wasn't using my voice or anything like that. Have someone make you the Blue Goat Man VTuber model. What do you need to, like, kind of rig a VTuber model, and do you need, like, a full-on camera that's gonna, like, accidentally show your face if it, like, glitches sometime, or what would you have to do? Did I go to college? I did, yeah. It was not fun. Canadians in World War II be like, Geneva Conventions, Geneva Suggestions. I'm not familiar. What is VTube? It's just basically, like, I guess virtual tuber, I think it stands for. I might be wrong. But if you just imagine, like, a filter that someone can put on their face to become something else, it, like, tracks your movements and constantly keeps, like, a sort of animated character that's your avatar, like, over top your person. And then a lot of the times it's like sort of a young anime girl is like the go-to avatar, I think. When did I start recording these videos? I started back 2014, August 14th. You need some software. Okay. College was pure sorrow as a STEM student. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I went for nursing, and it was really hard and annoying, and, like, we would have a test, like, every fucking week in all of our major classes, so it's just, like, I could not have any fun ever. I always had to, like, be locked in on, like, last-minute studying on every fucking thing. And I wasn't, like, necessarily a very studious student prior to doing it, so it definitely taught me to just, like, give my full mental strength. Geneva Convention happened after World War II. Sorry to be that douche. I mean, that's fair. I don't. My knowledge of history is just like general plot points, at this point. Assuming I dropped out. No, I finished, and I was a nurse for a while, and I started my YouTube career like early into my nursing, just to like do something on the side, and then YouTube took over and was much better money and much more fun than being a nurse. Same BSN student that switched to microbiology. Oh, okay. You switched to microbiology. Were you in the hopes of like becoming a doctor or something, or you just really wanted to study that specifically? There's a number of Japanese sites that offer free VTube models or reasonably priced ones. I feel like if I actually did it, I would, I'm 76. Yeah, I just turned 76 this year. I just shit my pants too. I'm a big fan of the channel, so I figured I'd do my part in contributing to the craziness. I've been a cop for just over 6 years now, and I should just start with I've been a cop part. I should ask whoever compiles the stories to delete those like sort of intros unless they're important. Human nursing is so gross. Vet nursing is also gross, but less gross. I think vet nursing would be more of a pain in the ass, because at least with humans you can communicate with them for the most part, and if they're a good normal person, they usually just like do whatever you say and move on with life. But I feel like with animals you always have to anticipate like they'd fuck you up, If you have a P.O. box, I'll send you a glockenspiel with a switch. With a Switch? That's cool. Like a Nintendo Switch? With regard to true dystopia stories, has anyone ever watched the Newsly? I've just finished reading Fahrenheit 451 with my high school seniors. Ray Bradbury was ever so prescient. Ray Bradbury. Ray, was that the author, or is that... And what is he saying? I've heard of Fahrenheit 451. What is... Oh yeah, Bradbury. I think I've read some of his sci-fi stories on my channel back when I did that, but it's been forever. Did he do the one about like the virtual room with, like, you go into, like, the African safari in the virtual room. What's up, No Frowns? How you doing? What is Fahrenheit 451? Dystopian novel written by Ray Bradbury, published in 1953. The story follows Guy Montag, a fireman in a future society where books are banned. Instead of putting out fires, his job is to burn books, which are seen as dangerous because they encourage independent thinking and dissent. Montag begins to question his role after meeting Clarice McClellan, a curious young neighbor who enjoys life's simple pleasure and asks thought-provoking questions. His disillusionment deepens when he witnesses a woman choosing to die with her books rather than live without them. Montag eventually rebels against the system, joins an underground group of intellectuals who memorize books to preserve knowledge, and escapes the oppressive city as it faces destruction. Interesting. Have you read Tender as the Flesh? I've not, no. I don't really read, to be honest with you. I'm not very learned outside of the streams, obviously. I thought about psychology, but I have so many friends who share the difficulties with me and realized I would burn out very quickly. Yeah, I mean, it's a tough field to, like, find a job in after school as well, because you can be like a therapist and whatnot, but it's tough to find that job, to secure it. I guess you could start your own clinic or something. I don't even know. And then, yeah, I don't even know if I would want to establish that sort of rapport with, like, so many people, especially as they, like, are less and less stable and need you more. Let's Read sometime. Yeah, Let's Read Whenever I Get Paid is my actual name. Start a podcast on the dark web. No one would ever see it. All right. I've been a cop for just over 6 years now, and I've seen some crazy stuff in that time. But only one call has been enough to give me nightmares, and it was this one. In November of 2023, it was just past midnight, and my partner and I were working a quiet shift when our radio suddenly cracked to life. Dispatch relayed a welfare check request. Someone had called in, worried about his former girlfriend. He gotten some troubling texts from her, things that were extremely out of character but enough to raise red flags, and my partner and I took the call. The address was a small apartment complex, one of those old brick buildings that's seen better days. We grabbed the ex's phone from dispatch and headed out. When we pulled up at around 12:45 a.m., the street was completely silent except for the hum of our cruiser's engine, and the apartment was on the second floor, Unit 2B. But there were no lights visible from the street, which kind of struck me as odd given the situation. If she was texting her ex, you'd think that she'd be awake and maybe have a lamp or the TV on or something, but there was nothing. We climbed the stairs. Our boots were echoing We climbed the stairs and knocked on the door. "Police, open the door, man. We're here to check on you." Nothing. No footsteps, no muffled TV, just silence. I knocked again, harder this time, pounding with the side of my fist. God damn it. I got my associates in psychology and decided not to continue for that very reason. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think I would be able to, like, mentally handle being around people that are not so well like that in the mind all the time, you know what I mean? It would just be quite exhausting. Hence why I got off Twitter. I knocked again, harder this time, pounding with the side of my fist, and still nothing. Daniels, my partner, suggested that we call her. The ex-boyfriend had provided her number, so I dialed it from my department-issued cell. It rang once and twice, and then picked up. I heard breathing on the other end. It was faint, but it was there before the line went dead. But here's the thing. We heard the phone ring from inside, faint but audible through the window to the left of the door, and there was no question. She was in there. "Ma'am, this is the police," I shouted, leaning toward the window. "We know you're inside. Open the door. We're doing a welfare check." There was no response at first, but then I caught a slight sound. It was very slurred, garbled speech, like someone trying to talk through a mouthful of cotton, and it was enough to justify, in my mind, a forced entry. "We're breaking the door down if you don't open up," I warned, giving her one last chance. We want to help, but we also don't want to overreact and potentially damage property or hurt somebody behind the door. But then seconds later, I hear a click as the deadbolt turned. The door didn't swing open, though. She'd unlocked it, but left it open. Oh, man. I caught and released a 10.5-pound walleye today. The Minnesota state record is 17 pounds, 8 ounces, so it was far from that, but it's still very impressive. Oh, that's sick. Yeah, my one buddy's dad was telling me about how him and his brothers yearly go up to, like, upstate New York to do salmon fishing. He says there's no grizzlies or anything like that, but he says the one area where all the public is usually is you can keep the fish. But then if you get further away from them, the area that they usually go to just to get away from the crowd is catch and release. And he says it's probably like his favorite time of the year. %69%. I've noticed all your side files. I don't know. Maybe it's just the way that I narrate. I don't know. Because sometimes I feel like my intonation, the manner in which I like speak, can kind of, I guess, give a story a similar sound. Maybe, I don't know. Walleye are super good to eat. There's a lot of black bears, but they back down. Yeah, I mean, black bears are obviously scary, and there's certain circumstances in which they might actually defend themselves or attack, but sometimes it sounds like black bears are usually pretty skittish of like people, and they know that there's a ton of people that come to that area of the wood, so they usually avoid it. What time is it for me? It is 12:26 a.m. The door didn't swing open. She'd unlocked it, but let it for us to open. I remember Daniels and I exchanged this look, and our hands were on our holsters, and then I pushed the door open with my boot. And what we saw stopped us completely cold. Standing there, swaying gently back and forth, was a young woman. She was stick-thin and looked to be in her 20s, stark naked, dripping wet, and pale as a ghost. Her skin had that bluish tinge that you see in hypothermia cases, and her hands were a mess, and blood dripping from cuts on her palms and fingers. Her eyes were glassy, unfocused, and she was mumbling something incoherent. Then the next thing, the smell hit us. Metallic, like old blood, but mixed with something stale and damp. "Ma'am, are you all right?" I asked, stepping forward, and she didn't respond, just kept swaying, barely holding herself. "Call a bus," I told Daniels. Bus being the slang for an ambulance. And he nodded and got on the radio while I tried to assess her. I asked her questions after question. Sleepy Guerrero with 22 months as I've been building my Lego set while listening to the live. It's been very therapeutic. Thank you, Joel, and the rest of your chat. You're welcome, my friend. Dude, Legos rock. My one friend's mother had like an entire massive table down in her basement just like filled with Legos, and she just would go down there daily and just kind of like build shit as part of her like personal time, you know. Send some feet pics. You know what, instead of feet pics, I'm gonna give you guys 10 free gifters to the bonus content. There you go. I froze. Uh-oh. I froze completely solid. Oh shit, welcome. Hannah Grapes. Anho baby. Troy Farrell, Chris Johnston, Coco, Haley Smith, Fuck You, Angela, Gripper Gang 69, Amani M, Nana, and Susan Corcoran. Welcome, friends. And I've heard when you get gifted one, my videos pop up more, so hopefully this is how I do advertising now. I literally pay you guys to watch my videos. Just kidding. I asked her question after question, but got no answer, just more slurring of words, and her condition seemed critical, pale, cold, bleeding, and disoriented. I grabbed a blanket from the couch nearby and draped it over her shoulders, trying to keep her warm until EMS arrived. And she didn't resist, didn't even seem to notice. Once the girl was secured, the first thing that we noticed when we... Most favorite story ever? Probably this one right now. I'm loving it. McDonald's style. Once the girl was scared, the first thing we noticed when we started looking around the room was the candles. Flickering flames were dotted all over the place. The living room, the bedroom, even a couple in the bathroom too. I flipped a light switch on, but I got nothing. I tried another, and it was dead. None of them worked, but there was no time to figure out if it was a power outage or a blown fuse, because we had to secure the scene and make sure that she was the only one here. My partner pulled out his flashlight and I followed. The beams cut through the darkness and revealed a scene that still gives me chills thinking about it. Words, scrawled in what looked like blood, her blood, I think, judging from her hands. And I remember seeing the words, "Seven-headed serpent" in the bedroom, and then just "Dis observes" in the bathroom. And the handwriting was shaky and uneven, like she'd been trembling when she wrote it. And we moved to the bathroom following the trail of candles, and that's where we saw the tub. It was filled with water, dark, murky brown water, like it had been stained with old blood or something else. And the surface was still, but you could tell that the girl had been sitting in it, likely for hours based on the ex's timeline when he last heard from her. The water was cold to the touch, and the blood had settled into a sort of thick, congealed layer toward the bottom. How she was even alive, I honestly couldn't tell you. The blood loss, hypothermia, she honestly should have been a goner. EMS. Do you ever read a story for fun, like not work, but just for fun reading seriously? No, I don't. I just don't, Not a reader, nothing against it. I'll read. I just don't, I want to. There's a part of me that's like, do that, but you know what I mean? You just get used to like your routines. I never did it when I was younger. I hated it when I was younger. I couldn't do it till I was like in 4th grade. It sounds bad, but I just didn't know what the fucking, I don't know. I just like look at words and just be like, what the fuck? The hell are those? And so I just never really developed any sort of like habitual skills or interests outside of like whatever I was forced to do. So I do kind of wish that my parents forced me to forced me to do stuff. I'm glad they forced me to do sports. I'm glad they forced me to do other things, do well in school and stuff. But I just never developed like an association with pleasure for reading, because I was always kind of just like embarrassed by it, when I was little. And then it just became more of like a pain in the ass, because I would then associate it with like, doing schoolwork and shit. I never thought about listening to podcasts. I do that. I do listen to podcasts. All that kind of, listen to YouTube videos. Like I do that all the time while I go about my day. But sitting and reading is just kind of, it's not even ADHD. It's just like whenever I'm like, I do my routine, wake up, maybe edit, go get food, listening, the whole time I'm doing that, it's like I'm listening to something in the background or whatever. Go to the gym, it's like I could sit there and listen to an audiobook. I mean, that's pretty much the same as listening to a podcast or consuming information, but to actually like sit down in one place whenever I have other stuff to do and just like stare at a book. I mean, maybe I could do it before bed instead of like watching YouTube videos. It'd probably be better for my eyes and stuff. Maybe I'll start to pass out with it or whatever. How the poll turn out? Looks like it's 69%. Oh yeah, somebody asked if I'm on Twitch. I am. It's pinned. Pinned and spinned. We're at 5 people over there. It's getting wild. I loved reading so much as a young adult that my books were taken away from me as punishment. See, I respect that. Yeah, I respect that. I wish, and honestly, like my one buddy, his situation with his kids was like he would tell them that they could stay up as long as they wanted, but only thing they could do is like read books. And so they always associated like book reading with, a guilty pleasure of like staying up late and stuff. And so like one of his daughters, by the time she was in 3rd grade, she'd read like all 8 Harry Potter books and shit, which is awesome. Like I love that. I love that that's just, what they're into. And anyone listening on Rumble, I don't think I'm streaming on Rumble. I did get reached out to by the Rumble team more recently to say like we kind of want to, bring this type of content over there, you know what I mean, to expand outside of just like the political realm and that kind of thing. But I honestly would have no issue with it. I just kind of like, I wish it was just an easier experience, It's like something where I just want to like not even like think about it, just like turn my brain off and have somebody else like upload all the videos over there. Any updates on Mr. Ballin Studios? Yeah, no updates on that. I think the team that reached out to me related to that just said they were mainly gauging interest, which, obviously I do have interest, but, whether it's going to happen or not is kind of up in the air because they have to formulate an idea, which I wish they would have did before they reached out to me, but it's no big deal. But I did get to talk with the people at No Sleep and connected with the team over there. So there's no definitive plan for what that is, but we got to kind of touch base on a few correspondences there. So I assume they'll be in touch as well. So that'll be dope. Do you know why the Mad Hatter was insane? It was typical for hat makers to use mercury glue to assemble the hat. Eventually it would seep into your skin. Oh, that's awesome. I'm an artist. I have no time to read. I don't care if it's even a good book. Do something interesting. Yeah, and the thing too, if there's something you really do want to read, like someone suggested, you can just put it on audiobook and listen to it passively in the background. I really see no difference. I mean, obviously it's more a mental strain to sit and stare at a book for a period of time than it is to sort of passively absorb a book. But at the end of the day, you're just trying to acquire that information. EMS arrived within 10 minutes, thank God. Paramedics rushed in, took one look at her and got to work. They wrapped her in thermal blankets and started an IV and loaded her onto a stretcher, and she was still mumbling, incoherent as they wheeled her out. I remember they said possible overdose, severe blood loss, and hypothermia, and she's lucky that you got here when you did. With a girl en route to the hospital, Daniels and I finished our sweep of the area, and no one else was in the apartment, and there were no signs of a struggle or forced entry, just the candles, the blood, and those goddamned words. We secured the scene and then called in a detective. A detective was called in to take over. This wasn't just a welfare check anymore. It was a potential crime scene, or... Fuck, I got shit in my throat. Yeah, it would be dope to work with Mr. Bailey. He's a Pennsylvania native as well, so we can hang out and do Navy SEAL shit. We could secure the scene, then call it... Okay, yeah, this wasn't... Okay. You're watching with your wife's boyfriend? Perfect. He always knows when to give you your Nintendo Switch. Cradle you to sleep. Why would she need an IV? She's literally soaking up all the water in the tub. Stupid EMTs. Yeah, soaking it up anally. Nothing like turning the pages of the book. That's true. I'm sure there's really is nothing like paper and, you know, and then those types of books burn better, as that's what I would probably... Honestly, that's my toughest part, is like, as a professional book burner, I see someone tells me I should read something, and in my head I'm just thinking, no, we should destroy it. The hell are you doing using your brain for anything other than worshiping the state and Hillary Clinton? That's a horror image called Faceless Aaliyah. Very obscure, actually scary. Just burn a copy of Atlas Shrugged. What's that one about? I've heard about it many times. Don't get me started on reading manga. Reading from right to left is a panty dropper. Yeah. This wasn't just a welfare check anymore. It was a potential crime scene, or, at the very least, a mental health crisis that needed more than a patrol response. And back at the station, I wrote up my report, but all of those images stuck with me. The flickering candles, the tub of dark water, and the bloody words. I later Googled them, and this was what came up for the seven-headed serpent. The seven-headed serpent in Sumerian religion was one of the heroes slain by Ninurta. The seven-headed serpent in Sumerian religion was one of the heroes slain by Ninurta, patron god of Lagash in ancient Iraq. Its body was hung on the shining crossbeam in Ninurta's chariot. Okay. It's a giant book about Ayn Rand saying being a selfish scumbag doesn't make you a bad person. It makes you human. It's crazy when you find out that almost every person you'll ever meet probably has their interests in mind. One of life's greatest pleasures, reading a paperback book on the beach while buzzed at an all-inclusive resort. That does sound nice. Down in Jamaica. What's the worst show I've ever seen? Probably season 4 of The Boys. No, maybe not that bad, but there's a lot of bad ones lately, just like full of their own shit. Just like completely deprived of any creativity or insight outside of their own political strange bias. The Sandman. The seven-headed serpent in Sumerian religion was one of the heroes slain by Ninurta, patron god of Lagash in ancient Iraq. Its body was hung on the shining crossbeam of Ninurta's chariot. It took me a little longer to figure out what Dis Observes might have meant, and I thought that it might have been a name, but a little later I found this about a place called Dis. In Dante's Alighieri, Dante. Oops. What did I think of the Fallout show? Honestly, I only made it like an episode or few, or I don't even, maybe it was only the first episode, but basically they transitioned to a military setting, and I was like watching it with some friends. There was like 4 of us, and it seemed like none of us were paying attention. It was a big orgy, big gay orgy. Just kidding. But like, then we were just like, let's go get food. So, yeah, I never got to finish it, and I just really didn't care. Red versus Blue. Red versus Blue was funny back in the day. Fallout is so good. Oh, okay, maybe I'll get back into it. Alighieri, Dante Alighieri. Do you like Westworld? I did watch some of that as well. Man, I feel like I actually made it pretty far with that, but I don't think I finished the first season though. I don't know, like a show really keeping me engaged all the way to the end is relatively rare. I guess that's why I kind of just would prefer movies and shit. A family survived out in the open ocean, and the mother was a nurse. They used dirty rainwater and the raft for enemas to stay hydrated. That's crazy. In Dante Alighieri's The Divine Comedy, the city of Dis encompasses the 6th through... The city of Dis encompasses the 6th through the 9th circles of hell, moated by the river Styx. Moated by the river Styx, the fortified city encloses the whole of lower or nether hell. And I've seen a lot on this job. Domestic disputes, overdoses, bar fights. But this was different. It was very unsettling, like we walked into something bigger than just a bad breakup or a rough night. I don't know what drove her to that point, and I don't know if she'll pull through, but I do know this. If her ex hadn't called, if we hadn't gotten there when we did, I doubt that she would have made it. I have a bunch of artificial wombs set up in my basement, this is true. And they're all filled with clones of my cat. They're all filled with DNA samples from all of you. So every time, if you get banned in chat, so does your little baby clone here. Just so you're aware, so you stay on good behavior. The Perdupes. Oh, yeah, Nephilim babies. Part cat, part chatter. It was one of those days where the sky was as clear as you really could have hoped for, not a cloud in sight. My partner and I were on a routine patrol, just cruising through the neighborhood when it happened, and it happened out of nowhere. Some guy decides that he's going to... Some guy decides that he's going to be the end of me. So I was walking up to this character, just doing my job, when... like a bolt from the blue, he pulls out a 9mm from his jacket. Time slows down, in my mind, right? You see the gun, you see the barrel, and you know what comes next. He points it at me, his eyes are wide, wild with some kind of fear or anger, I really couldn't tell. And then he pulls the trigger. But here's the thing, he did everything wrong. Maybe he was too scared or too angry or just plain didn't know how to handle a gun. The hammer fell, but the gun didn't fire. The chamber must have been empty or the safety was on or who knows what. I didn't stick around to find out. And in that split second, I saw my life flash before my eyes, but then I was moving. Adrenaline took over, and I lunged for him. He was so shocked that his gun didn't work, he just stood there, his grip loosening. The pistol hit the ground and he starts screaming, "Don't shoot me, please don't shoot me," like he hadn't even done anything at all to me. and I'll admit, I was scared out of my mind. My heart was pounding so bad that I thought it was going to burst out of my chest. By the time we got back to the station, I was still wired, and my body was buzzing with the aftermath of that rush. I tried to sit down, tried to write up the arrest report, but my right leg would not cooperate. It was like I had a pogo stick up my butt. What do you think of the Sig Sauer P320 pistols allegedly going off by themselves? Sig has a ton of lawsuits. That's funny, in the last video, someone was like, the whole first story was the chick had like a Sig Sauer on her or whatever, and I feel like it was the P320. Pistols going off themselves by themselves. Sig had a ton of lawsuits. Did they figure out why were the Sig Sauers going off by themselves? Was it like just like a heat temperature change or some shit like that? Like the hammer released or some shit? The Sig Sauer dropped safety concerns. Early models of the P3 reportedly discharged when dropped to specific angles. Sig Sauer's response to the company initiated voluntary upgrade program to adjust this issue, modifying components, enhanced drop safety, unintentional discharges post-upgrade. Despite the 2017 modifications, over 100 incidents have been reported where P320s allegedly discharged without trigger engagement, resulting in at least 80 injuries. In 2024, Georgia jury awarded $2.35 million to a man injured by P320, and a Philadelphia jury granted $11 million to another individual with a similar claim. Design considerations. The P320 operates with a strike-fired system that is effectively fully cocked at rest, differing from other pistols that incorporate external safeties. Unlike its military variants, civilian models of the P320 often lack an external manual safety, which has been a focal point in discussions about unintended discharges. I know. Just, you think they would be like, to avoid these kind of lawsuits, you think they would be like proactively trying to like figure out day in and day out what's wrong with their product so that people can't sue them. But I guess that would mean that they would have to like recall all of the shit that's already in circulation and stuff if they made any changes. Drama so huge, the boss had to call me out as not a very nice person. That's how bad it got. Basically, I reacted strongly to a rumor about a person who isn't here anymore, but I flew off and showed demon mode. They do, though. That's what quality control is. So, when you think that if they're constantly checking a product for faults later, wouldn't you legally also have to recall all of those old products? Which, if it's like pistols in people's hands, like that in and of itself sounds like a bigger cost than just like waiting for somebody to accidentally fuck themselves up with it. Dia B, welcome to the Buttersock Call. You now have access to bonus content. Thank you. And that's true, people lying about their pistols going off just to get money and stuff, whether it's provable. I wonder if they like bring in forensic scientists to figure that kind of shit. It was like I had a pogo stick for a limb, bouncing up and down with the leftover adrenaline. My hands were shaking too. When another officer brought me a glass of water, thinking it'd calm me down, I ended up spilling half of it all over my desk. That moment, that near miss with death, it stuck with me. The sheer enormity of the fact that I was still breathing because of his stupidity was something that I couldn't shake off. It wasn't just luck. It was a reminder of how thin the line is between life and death when you're in this line of work. As I wrote the report, detailing every moment of the encounter, I kept running through what could have been. If he had known how to actually use that gun, if he had prepared it properly, I wouldn't be here. But he didn't, and I was, and that's not something you forget. It's a lesson in humiliating. Right, and you got to think about the manufacturers of the individual parts too. Oh, that's true, yeah. It's like, but maybe, who knows, maybe now it's like in their mind, they're like, okay, we're going to go through 1,000 million different scenarios as we R&D this next pistol, and we got to get it right. I'm going to Puerto Rico tomorrow to play rock and roll show, and I would love for you to spell ICUP as a good luck charm. You got it, Brent. Rock and roll in Puerto Rico, that's cool. Are you going to be on like at like bars or resorts or something like that? Or just a show in general? The guy, oh, whoops. It's a lesson in, God damn it, it's a lesson in humility and in the remnant. Why am I struggling with this fucking sentence? It's a lesson in humility and in the randomness of fate. I don't think it needs another in there. It's a lesson in humility and the randomness of fate. The guy, he was charged with attempted murder, among other things. But for me, the real takeaway was the haunting realization of how close I came to not making it home. And every day now, I check my gear more thoroughly, and I treat every encounter with a bit more caution, because you never know when the clear blue sky might just turn dark. All right. Story numero 50. Coming up. This email comes from an anonymous proton.me email and appears to be from an anonymous source in the St. Louis Police Department, but they verified. An email from a proton. God fuck, I don't even know how to read that. Oh my god. Pradeep is like so fucking sprawled out. I gotta take a picture of this. Oh my god. He's like upside down on like the footrest, which is like nearest the fire, and he's just like so sprawled out, like literally as far as you can stretch his like front legs from his back legs, like just upside down with like the funniest face on. I will post that on Instaslam later. It's gonna be really important. AI animation wigs me out. Do they have that already? AI animation? I know they have AI video. I feel like I haven't seen like any like animation videos really. Blow a few raspberries. You just gotta start the engine. This email comes from a proton.me email arriving in the Let's Read Submissions inbox. It appears to be from an anonymous source in the St. Louis Police Department, but I verified the incident they're referring to, so it might be genuine. I've had to... Oh my god, I thought I had a spider on my fucking neck. But I verified the incident they're referring to, so it might be genuine. It reads as follows. Dear Sir, it has come to my attention that your rather sizable audience is in want of a terrifying but ultimately... It has come to my attention that your rather sizable audience is in need of a terrifying but ultimately true story. And while not particularly long or meandering, I think this is one they need to hear. One of my favorite quotes is from one of our founding fathers, James Madison, when he said, "The truth is that all men have power ought to be..." Fuck me, man. I don't know why it gets harder as the night goes on. Tweaking the fuck out. I don't know, it felt like a fucking spider on my neck, dude. I made fun of Pradeep and he cast a hallucination. One of my favorite quotes is from one of our founding fathers, James Madison, when he said, "The truth is that all men having power ought to be mistrusted." I first heard it way back at the very beginning of my career, and over my 35 years as a serving police officer, those words were never far from my mind. Since we're charged with upholding the law, we have to hold ourselves to a higher standard with... Since we're charged with upholding the law, we have to hold ourselves to a higher standard than our civilian counterparts, meaning sometimes we have to direct that sense of mistrust towards our very own selves. Because sometimes it's not so much the power of holding a badge and a gun that corrupts a man. We have all kinds of oversight and regulatory bodies to ensure that, when an officer does step over that moral red line, he's suitably punished. What the fuck? Why is this sentence even... It doesn't even fucking make any sense. Because sometimes it's not so much the power of holding a badge and a gun that corrupts a man. How is that? Is that a singular sentence? Is it just over at that point? We have all kinds of oversight and regulatory bodies to ensure that when an officer does step over that moral red line. Okay. Jesus Christ. I'm turning into Spider-Man. Patrick Warburton. It should help. Yeah, I'm making this up. Yeah, it's made up. What about it? What type of bodies? I don't know. I think the bodies are buried out back. Because sometimes it not... Oh my god. Alright, I gotta piss. I'll be right back. Yo, Joel, just seeing that you were live. Was literally listening to one of your other videos right now. I'm watching an old one. Demon Encounters from like 8 years ago. That's crazy. Those ones are real creepy. Oh, whoops. I pressed the wrong fucking button. Alright. Anyways, how's the gym going? It's going pretty good. Just still hitting my compound lifts. But like I said before, recently incorporating like resistance treadmill, walking with like a weighted vest, and it's been honestly, it's been nice. Because sometimes it's not so much the power of holding a badge and a gun that corrupts a man. We all have kinds of oversights. We have all, God fucking damn it. I don't know why that sentence just doesn't sound complete, because sometimes it's not so much the power of holding a badge and a gun that corrupts a man. You think it would be like comma, and then whatever the rest needs to be said. The fact that it ends there is like, just sounds really weird, because sometimes it's not so much the power of holding a badge and a gun that corrupts a man. I don't know, it just seems to jump to a new sentence. It's a fragment sentence, yeah. It's totally fine. I'm not expecting people to be pro writers or anything like that. It just confuses me. Because sometimes it's not so much the power of holding a badge and a gun that corrupts a man. We have all kinds of oversight and regulatory bodies to ensure that when an officer does step over that moral red line, he's suitably punished for it. For what is truly corrosive to an officer's soul is an overexposure to the very poison he seeks to combat, and that is perhaps the most insidious trait in all of law enforcement. I'm sorry if I get poetic here, but when a good cop, over the course of many months and years, oh my God, I don't... Like, just jumping, it's so strange, it's not sentences. For what is truly corrosive to an officer's soul is an overexposure to the very poison he seeks to combat, and that is perhaps the most insidious trait. Okay. Ba 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 ba. I don't know what I'm doing. I just dry reading it. It's just fucking confusing in my dumb brain. I'm sorry to get poetic. For what is truly corrosive to an officer's soul. God, fine. And I'm sorry, but I will get poetic here. For what is truly corrosive to an officer's soul is an overexposure to the very poison he seeks to combat, and that is perhaps the most insidious trait in all of law enforcement. When a good cop, over the course of many months and years, becomes a bad cop. One morning in September of 2023, I received a report that 2 of my officers had been called to a domestic dispute the previous evening, in which a 29-year-old man named... Oh, wait, why are we going to say his... Uriyoyan Rodriguez Rivera. Should I include the person's full name? I mean, I guess it is a police thing. Uriyoyan? What the fuck kind of name is that? Urayoan. Wait. Here's the breakdown. Ura. U sounds like the oo in moon. Urayoan. Urayoan. Whatever. One morning, in September of 2023, I received a report that 2 of my officers had been called to a domestic dispute the previous evening, in which a 29-year-old man named Joan Rodriguez Rivera had suffered an unfortunate accident involving a firearm he owned. At around 6:30, when my officers arrived at the scene, they found Mr. Rodriguez Rivera lying at the base of a tree, struggling to breathe and suffering severe blood loss from wounds to his face and neck. He was in a critical condition and required urgent medical assistance, but instead of administering first aid or requesting the presence of emergency services, my officers chose to neglect and belittle Mr. Rodriguez Rivera in the final few moments of his life. And Officer Warren is heard to comment, "We better take this mother effer." So this is recent? Oh my god, it's so hot now. I had the heat up and now it's like too hot. I hate when it gets too hot. I cannot fucking think when it's hot. Kind of sad that the stream probably will never and has really never. I think at one point it was at like 700 or something at like max. But it's kind of sad that it's just like never really gonna grow anymore, you know what I mean? But I guess that's just the nature of this stream. What's up, Jeddah? And Officer Warren is heard to comment, "We better take this mother effer in," to which an Officer Frazier replies, "We aren't taking anything. I get off in 30 minutes. Let's cruise." Whew. Okay, come on. I can read, I promise. To which an Officer Frazier replies, "We aren't taking anything. I get off in 30 minutes. Let's cruise." Why is it hard to say cruise? Let's clues. What's up, Sam? Why the sad face? It seems like the same 400 to 500 people every time. It's true. I mean, maybe those are the people that genuinely interested each time, to be honest, since most people are just want to listen to the stories and not the yapping, which kind of sucks. I do wish that I could have like somehow marketed or like created interest in the stream that was equal to the interest in like the videos and stuff, but obviously I know like starting and stopping, if there's people that bitch about it even one time, it means that there's probably thousands of others who won't say anything and just move on. And Officer Warren is heard to comment, "We better take this mother effer in," to which an Officer Frazier replies, "We aren't taking anything. I get off in 30 minutes. Let's cruise around and come back." Then, after walking away from the scene while laughing to one another, Officers Warren and Frazier get back into their car and drive away from an active crime scene. They return to the scene at around 10 minutes later, just moments before a third police officer arrives on scene. At this point, I had to switch over to watching the body camera footage from this third officer, and what I saw shocked me to my core. Frazier and Warren began to pretend as if it's their first time at the scene, and began going through the motions. Frazier and Warren began to pretend as if it's their first time at the scene, and began going through the motions of searching for the wounded. Oh my god, okay. Frazier and Warren began to pretend as if it's their first time at the scene, and began going through the motions of searching for the wounded Mr. Rodriguez Rivera, even though they knew exactly where he was. When the third officer spotted Mr. Rodriguez Rivera, he immediately notified dispatch and made a priority request that EMS come to the scene for a person still breathing with a gunshot wound to the head. Other officers also arrived shortly after and tape off the scene. One checks Rodriguez Rivera for a pulse, which he describes as super weak. That officer then reaches the area. That officer then searches the area for a firearm as another tries to render first aid. Just minutes later, the third officer's body camera shows Warren and Frazier walking to their police cruiser, then leaving the scene for a second time once additional officers had arrived. The third officer, who I believe exemplifies the true spirit of law enforcement in this fair city, tells a fourth... What the fuck? Oh my god. The third officer, who I believe tells in this fair city, tells a fourth... You know what's... Okay. Tells a fourth officer. Okay. I don't know why, just like wrapping my head around the context sometimes is confusing. Too young to know what AOL was like. Honestly, it was just like basically you had people on your friends list and it was on like a desktop computer like you're probably on right now maybe or something, and basically that friends list was just like people you could privately send messages to back and forth. And then once in a while I think there were like some AOL like chat rooms that you could go into that focused on certain things like anime or whatever the fuck. Yeah, I guess I never used the AOL email, but it was just sort of a thing where like you get home from school, at least for me, and it's like you have your computer on, or a computer. I guess for me it was like I had a family computer and it was dial-up, which fucking sucked. So you had to like ask your family to get on the computer, which then would tie up the landline so nobody could call the house. So a lot of the times when I was on the internet, I only had like limited amount of time to do it. Like they're like, all right, you can get on, but only until 8 p.m. and then I have to leave the line open for grandma or some shit. Yeah, you get the ding. But yeah, it was pretty. I feel oddly enough though, it's like one of those things where I had it in like early middle school, and then by the time late middle school came around, so like 8th grade, it like phased out for some reason. I don't know if like people transitioned to Facebook or maybe we transitioned to texting. Probably just texting, yeah, made way more sense than getting on AIM and shit. Sure making a lot of mouth sounds. It's filled with jizz. It's filled with your dad's jizz, probably. The third officer, who I believe exemplifies the true spirit of law enforcement in this fair city, tells a fourth, you know what's effed up? Warren and Frazier just left. The same officer later says he's going to out the F out of Frazier and Warren for abandoning the scene because, he said, you can't just leave. Emergency medical services arrived at the scene at 6:53 p.m., at which point Mr. Rodriguez Rivera was transported to the hospital, and that was around 27 minutes after Warren and Frazier first arrived at the scene, 27 minutes too late. Tragically, Mr. Rodriguez Rivera later passed away as a result of a single gunshot wound to the head. What the fuck? There's fucking rats in my fireplace, bro. I know it. I know it's happening. Rats on the walls, rats in the fire. Fire rats, dude. 8th grade was MySpace. Oh yeah, I never had a MySpace. I remember my like friends and cousins would have them because they could put like music and shit on, but I just like never had any interest in making one. But then I think in like 10th grade I made a Facebook. And that was stupid. Yeah, maybe that was a gunshot. What the hell? What the hell? I like MySpace custom background music. I remember like in like 3rd, 4th grade, there was this thing called X Page. Does anybody remember X Page? And it wasn't a porn website. It was like a place that you could go and create like free custom web pages or whatever, you know? And you would be like xpage.com/ whatever, you know, your name was or something. And I remember there was a kid in my class who was like, it blew my mind in 3rd grade, his ability to type. Because I'd be sitting there just like with one hand, just like, doot, 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 you know, just pressing the buttons, like slowly trying to find the letters. And he had both motherfucking hands on there, just like an absolute fucking Ghost in the Shell style typing. And like, and then he also like somehow knew as like a kid how to like program his website to do certain things and like put things into the code and behind it to like change stuff. And I remember I always thought he was a genius, and he really was like a genius in school. Like he was so smart. And then I feel bad for him because then his parents got divorced, and then he got into like hard drugs after that. He got into like drinking and like hard drugs and became like a rapper, which was hilarious. And yeah, and then his life was pretty much, I haven't really heard about him since then. But I don't know. I just always thought he was like so much wasted potential. Tragically, Mr. Rodriguez Rivera later passed away as a result of a single gunshot wound to the head, with the emergency surgeon who worked on him saying that he had arrived a little early. Oh my god, dude, motherfucker. SoundCloud rapper. He was a rapper before SoundCloud, so he was like legitimately making like CDs and like trying to sell them at school and shit. And they were so fucking bad. Holy crap. I wish I could find them, honestly. He was pretty much the Kanye West of our school. Tragically, Mr. Rodriguez Rivera later passed away as a result of a single gunshot wound to the head, with the emergency surgeon who worked on him saying that had he arrived a little earlier, they might well have been able to save his life. I will never forget the feeling which came over me when I watched the body-worn camera footage of the incident. I didn't know whether I was going to puke or smash my computer, and I think I must have watched it maybe 4 or 5 times before I could allow myself to believe what I was seeing and hearing. I couldn't grasp it at first. The officers in question weren't bad guys, or at least they didn't seem to be, and their disciplinary records didn't speak to that either. But I also observed that their psych profiles were long out of date, meaning it might have been possible to identify the problem before it resulted in such a grotesque dereliction of duty. Once the news hit the airwaves that the 2 officers had been suspended prior to an investigation, the press reached out to Mr. Rodriguez Rivera's mother, who lived in Puerto Rico. As a father, that was the part that really got to me. The part where a mother had to learn that not only had her son's death potentially been avoidable, but the very people charged with his protection had abandoned him when he needed them most. She claimed the officers lacked humanity, and that she hoped the full weight of the law fell on them. The media also reached out to our former chief, who made a very candid but deeply controversial statement. He said the officers' behavior was disgusting, and that they'd be fired. Oops. It took forever to download music with 56K modems. Yeah, dude, that's crazy. And I just remember, like, then when we finally got into, high-speed internet or whatever, who knows even what the speed was back then, but I feel like it hasn't really changed that much, honestly, which kind of sucks. Like, I'm still waiting for, like, why the fuck is internet, like, Elon Musk's, like, whole fucking satellite internet bullshit? Like, tell me why. Tell me why. Like, why is it not insane lightning fast? You know what I mean? I've heard it's decent, but why? Like, if he really wanted to make that worth everybody's time to like get and have available to them, it would be like insano mode. Like it should be insano mode. Now granted, I don't know how you would do that, so it is what it is, and I'm glad people out in the sticks of Idaho can get internet and stuff, but just because it's wireless at a great distance. I know, Hawk, but I'm like saying that's what would make it so sick if the next big jump in like internet technology was blow your fucking mind fast, and it was wireless, and it was in the sky. You know what I mean? Like no one would even have to ever think about resetting their bullshit ever again. Well, I guess that maybe they would, but when it would say there's a minute left to download, but it's like an hour. Yeah. Or when you would go to your friend's house and like look at their LimeWire downloads and it would just say like bubble butt Latinas or something like that. And you're like, what the fuck? What are you downloading? He said the officer's behavior was disgusting, that they'd be fired, and there was probably going to be a multi-million-dollar lawsuit. But from where he was standing, he couldn't see any criminal charges being filed against either officer. Both officers refers. Where do you send stories? You can send it to letsreadsubmissions@gmail.com. I just remember for years my grandparents, like they didn't have dial-up, but they had like something like DSL or something. They had dick-sucking lip internet. And it was, oh man, I didn't even want to like get on their internet at their house. It was so bad. Both officers have since been fired by the St. Louis Metropolitan Police, with each of their police licenses being terminated. And in the state of Missouri, those licenses cannot be reinstated by law, so they will never again be allowed to act in a law enforcement capacity here in our fair state. But what truly concerns me isn't so much the fact that this happened, it's the potential for it to happen again. We, as those who volunteer to enforce the law, are faced with one of the most difficult jobs in the entire country. But while we have deep pockets for increasing surveillance and militarization, the resources we put aside to fight our mental battles are sorely lacking. I do not believe Warren or Frazier joined the St. Louis police force in order to neglect their duties and belittle a dying man. I believe that they were two once decent officers who, through a lack of mental hygiene and department support, made a terrible and regrettable mistake. And rightly so, it is a mistake that they have been punished for, and it remains to be seen if any further action will be taken against the two former officers. But when I say that this incident was avoidable, the avoidance lies in ensuring our protectors get the protection they need, not just from the violent criminals that seek to exploit and violate. Wait, what? You wish you could write well and have some good stories? You can. You just gotta read a bunch and then write a bunch, and then eventually you'll get good. Let's read submissions. Do I do MMA? It is not an MMA jiu-jitsu related email, I promise. Joel backwards says Leoch. Sometimes I would write that, like people are like, what's your name? If you were thinking of like a D&D character, it's like, it's Leoch. What's up? What's up, guys? It's Leoch. Not just from the violent criminals that seek to exploit and violate, but from the lesser angels of their own beings. Unfortunately, due to the departmental policy, I am unable to attach a name to my story without facing serious disciplinary consequences, hence why I'm sending this anonymously. Yet in good conscience, I can no longer remain silent. We should never forget James Madison's words, nor should we ever grow tired of scrutinizing those who wield the whip hand. wield the whip hand. But in the same way we... Oh, what's up, Shorn? Welcome. Welcome to hell. Welcome to Hecktown. Some people are too flowery with words for their stories. It's true. It does get a little like they're just kind of circle jerking themselves a little bit. We should never forget about James Madison's words, nor should we ever grow tired of scrutinizing those who wield the whip over us. But in the same way we value the mental health of combat veterans, we need to do more to help those who help us. And for the time being, my task is to ensure such a failure does not occur again. We must rebuild trust and honor the memory of Mr. We must rebuild trust and honor the memory of Mr. Rodriguez Rivera by ensuring our officers act with dignity and urgency required in such moments of crisis, and we do that with Kevlar for the mind. What is Kevlar for the mind going to be, though? Aside from just like a... You know what I mean? Like, aside from just like saying it, what would you do? I mean, he's the one in position of power, I guess. What would he do? What is like a good thing for the mental health? You know what actually would be a good thing for the mental health of police officers? No fucking swing shifts. Like, every police officer I've ever met is just like perpetually on like the worst fucking sleep schedule you could ever conceive of. So you work for a bunch of hours doing night shift, and then you're just like randomly like that weekend supposed to switch to like day shift, and then they just like rotate back and forth through that second shift, and it's just like, bro. And like, sure, some are like, yeah, I don't sleep that much, but it's like, hello, sleep is like the only thing that keeps your brain from going insane and you becoming like an aggressive monster. So you would think the people that need to be like locked in all the fucking time and feel pretty good would be police officers, hence why giving them a good sleep schedule and consistent schedule would make a ton of sense. Do you have any Home Alone scary stories coming up soon? Maybe. We'll look into it. How's Pradeep? He's good. He's walking around. Taking a propaganda. I think you're posting stuff and so helpful, and sometimes it's hard to wait, and you don't make us do so. Thanks. You're welcome, Curbs. No worries. Crime doesn't take a break in the middle of the night. Oh, this is true. I mean, obviously, like, if officers, like, if you get a position as a nurse, right? You can get a position. It will tell you what your position is going to be. So you're going to be a night shift nurse who's full-time, who works 8-hour shifts, you know what I mean, with the possibility of like rotating to second shift from time to time. Like, hence why I feel like police officers should do that too, where you're just like, you are a night shift police officer. That's who you are for the next 10 years or something as you do your patrol. And then if you want to apply for a new position that goes day shift to be more like available to your family, then you can do so. And then you can just be and have a normal sleep schedule. Because like, if you get so used to sleeping nights and during the day, and then all of a sudden you're expected to like just make that jump, like that's probably when you're going to be at your like least mentally capable, you know? My YouTube just shut off for no reason. The silence woke me up. Oh, weird. Yeah, I don't know if YouTube like purposely tries to like purge people who are like not active, but I don't think they should do that. I think they should just like let people maintain the viewership. Alright, well, this is the last story of the night, but I did take a break a little bit ago, but I didn't get my magnesium, so I'm going to do that real quick, and I will be right back. Please talk amongst yourselves and do not leave, or I will be screaming. Alright. I couldn't make it to the bathroom, so my diaper is full, but that's alright, we'll push through. Hey, see ya, Elle. Take care. Have a good night. Curb says, keep at it. You're amazing. The truth will set you free, meaning my truth is, I am thankful for you, and I am proud of you. Thank you, Curbs. Oh, shit. Neuro is becoming self-aware. I don't even know. I feel like the self-aware AI they talk about is just like a simulation of what we'd even perceive as self-awareness. I don't think it actually cares about itself. You want some magnesium? You're gonna have to pull it out of my gut. Do I take magnesium tea? I had some cocoa that had magnesium in it before, but not anymore. It's good though. Oh, fuck. Okay. Effin' Don, what up? I recognize that name, long time no see. AI isn't self-aware, it's really impressive autocorrect. Yeah, that's kind of how I feel. Like, it's really good at, like, summarizing language and data. But beyond that, I mean, I'm not too intimidated by it at this point. A$AP Rocky found innocence. I've never heard his music, but I like Rihanna. A$AP Rocky has some good songs. What did he do that he was in? What did he do to get in trouble? Alright. Thank you guys for sticking around. Let's get it, baby. Alright, this is a true crime one. I guess the last one was true crime too, but told from a different perspective. In the early hours of March 15th, 2024, the skies over New Mexico were still an inky black as State Police Officer Justin Hare drove down a dark stretch of the I-40. Except for a few passing vehicles, the highway was quiet, with the approaching dawn signaling that Hare's shift was coming to an end. But then at around 4:45 a.m., a call came through from his unit's dispatch requesting his help. According to the dispatcher, a motorist with a flat tire was signaling for assistance. Justin said that he'd make his way to the driver's location and then set off in the direction of Tucumcari. Shit. Titty cum curry. Chili con carne. California. Tucumcari. Okay. Alright. AI cannot truly create, only compile. I think there will be an AI bubble. Has already been in use for a decade, in my opinion. Yeah, I mean, it definitely has some interesting apps and things like that, but whatever, like, major investment it's trying to, like, draw based on interest, I don't know. I mean, once you get, like, the virtual assistants out of the way that feel interesting and cool, I don't know, beyond that. Do they have an Alexa? You know, like, there's an Amazon Alexa. Does Amazon Alexa have an update or anything that would, like, switch us to an AI voice to talk to that's, like, a lot more accurate than whatever Alexa has? Tucumcari. Okay. What is it? Yeah. According to the dispatcher, a motorist with a flat tire was signaling for assistance. Justin said he'd make his way to the driver's location, then set off in the direction of Tucumcari. As Justin arrived at the scene, he observed a white BMW sitting forlornly on the shoulder of the road. Its driver stood nearby as Justin pulled in behind the vehicle, then motioned for the driver to approach his cruiser. As the BMW's driver approached Justin's passenger window, the conversation started innocently enough. They discussed the flat tire, the early hour, and the lack of nearby services. Justin, keen to help a citizen in need, offered Smith a ride to the nearest town, where he could find the assistance he required. The driver smiled, thanked him for the offer, then before Justin realized what was happening, the BMW driver produced a 9mm pistol and then put a bullet through the unsuspecting officer's neck. As Justin struggled to both stem the bleeding and unholster his weapon, the driver of the white BMW walked around to his driver's side window and then shot him twice more. He then shoved the dying officer over into the passenger seat, took command of the patrol car, and then began driving down the I-40 with a mortally wounded Justin gasping for air next to him. Upon reaching a frontage road, the driver stopped the cruiser. He then dragged Justin's incapacitated body from the passenger seat and then left him to die on a cold, dusty stretch of highway near Tucumcari. Fuck. Tucumcari. Justin Ballas, welcome back for 2 months. As this story is illegal, you're not allowed to be named Justin, only me. Damn, is this you getting shot? I know, it is kind of interesting. It's like Alexa was like such an amazing thing, and then AI showed up and you're like, what the fuck? Where's my Jarvis? I need like a Tony Stark Jarvis. Jarvis, crank the shaft a little bit, would you? Right away, sir. He then dragged Justin's incapacitated body from the passenger seat, and then, oh my God, why? I don't understand. I go to say the words and they just don't come out of my mouth. He then dragged Justin's incapacitated body from the passenger seat, then left him to die on a cold, dusty stretch of highway near Tucumcari. I keep saying Tucumcari. Why do I say Kari and not Carry? Tucumcari. He then dragged Justin's incapacitated body from the passenger seat and then left him to die on a cold, dusty stretch of highway near Tucumcari, a name derived from the Comanche word which means ambush. The patrol car was later found crashed in Guadalupe County, and it wasn't long before the driver of the flat-tired BMW was identified as Jeremy Alexander Smith. Smith was already wanted in connection with the murder of Phoenicia Machado IV. Phoenicia. Shit. How to say Phoenicia? What mic am I using? Right now you're hearing me through a Neumann TLM 103, but I record into an H4n Pro. Phoenicia. Okay, Phoenicia. Sweet. Phoenicia Machado IV. Smith was already wanted in connection with the murder of Phoenicia Machado IV, the owner of the stolen BMW he was driving in South Carolina's Marion County. The manhunt began immediately as a frantic search of the Jeremy Smith. What? The manhunt began immediately as a frantic search of the Jeremy Smith gripped the entire... Of the Jeremy Smith? Maybe for Jeremy Smith? I don't fucking know. What was the guy's name again? The Jeremy Smiths. Your favorite indie band. Hit up Google with some voice samples to get a bard that sounds like me. I don't know, it's funny. It's like all those... The fact that, like, Google was, or, you know, like YouTube and shit was, like, asking its creators to just sort of, like, opt into a program that, like, supposedly automatically curates all of our content, or, like, takes all of our content, creates an AI version so it can, like, identify when your shit is being used by another AI. I'm just like... That sounds like some 9/11 shit where I have to like sign over the rights to my soul so that I can be protected, you know what I mean? And I'm like, I'm not just like giving a free AI version of myself to whoever willy-nilly wants it without at least a little bit of green. My soul's worth at least 10 grand. The manhunt began immediately as a frantic search for Jeremy Smith gripped the entire southwestern United States. His criminal record painted a picture of a man who had been on a collision course with justice for years, a man who had left a trail of devastation wherever he went. But the shock and horror of his actions resulted in were nothing compared to the grief and heartache the local community felt at losing one of its brightest and most selfless members in such a brutal and senseless fashion. Hours turned to days as the manhunt continued, with local law enforcement agencies remaining on high alert. But in the end, it was an era of unbridled stupidity which brought the hammer down on the fugitive Smith. After stopping at a gas station in Albuquerque, Smith was foolish enough to hand over his actual identification card to the attendant. The clerk recognized him in an instant, but kept her cool and completed the transaction. After that, it was simply a case of tracking the stolen car that he was driving, and then closing in to make an arrest. But Smith wasn't about to give up that easily. At exactly 7:49, two deputies of the Benilio... Oh my god... Do I have any vinyls? I do. I have one from the Flaming Lips, Yoshimi Battles, the Pink Robots. And then I have The Age of Ads by Sufjan Stevens. I have Trishasla by Sassid. I have Sufjan Stevens' Seven Swans. And then I also have Sufjan Stevens' Come On and Feel the Illinois. I got a few of his around the same time that I got Age of Ads because that came out on vinyl, and I was like, I want all of his vinyls. But maybe I should get more. And an actual vinyl player. But I also just like don't want to take them out of their packaging and stuff. Why? I'm not really sure. You're making tonkatsu. What's that? Oh wait, how do you say this place again? I don't have a vinyl player, sadly. I mean, I guess I could get one. I just like don't think about it. Banalilio. How to say? Bernalillo. At exactly 7:49 a.m., two deputies of the Bernalillo. You made me a playlist. Oh, thanks, dude. I will check that out. Bernalillo. At exactly 7:49 a.m., two deputies of the Bernalillo County Sheriff found themselves sitting in their vehicle outside the address Smith was believed to be sheltering at. Smith apparently spotted the Bernalillo deputy's vehicle because seconds later, their cruiser's radio burst into life with cries of, he's running westbound." The cruiser zooms down a quiet suburban street, the sky a haze of grays and blues as the time ticks over to 7:51. Suddenly, the deputy in the passenger seat asks his partner to halt their cruiser, and as they step out, they are faced with a copper-brown two-story home, complete with a white garage door. Smith had already taken the lives of both a police officer and a paramedic, but the two deputies remain unfaltering in their pursuit. They scan two narrow passageways either side of... Who was the paramedic? Was that the woman? Hey, Ace, take care. They scan the two narrow passageways either side of the home before one quietly declares, "I can hear him." With pistols drawn, the two deputies begin their advance, the driver taking the left side of the house, the passenger taking the right. Within seconds, the deputy on the right-hand side of the house spots Smith. "Hey, get over here," he calls over to his partner. "I got contact. He's behind 3135. Suddenly, a black-clad Smith runs into view before swiftly darting through a small opening in the wall behind the home. "Stop running!" the deputy cries, as both he and his partner give chase. The deputy rushes down the passageway, but is forced to slowly round a corner for fear of being ambushed. When the home's backyard proves uninhabited, the deputy grabs his radio and declares he's hopping fences. The deputy peers over a high chest. The deputy peers over a chest-high wall, then attempts to scale it, but as he reaches the top, he hears screaming and coming from a... I sound sleepy. I mean, it's 2 a.m. I should have been in bed 10 million years ago. The deputy peers over a chest-high wall, then attempts to scale it, but as he reaches the top, he hears screaming coming from a neighboring house. "This way," the deputy cries, as he rushes back out into the street their cruiser is parked on. "He's this way, Sarge." As the deputy runs, the distant sound of sirens can be heard, and then suddenly, following a cry of "Stop, police," the sharp report of gunfire can be heard. "Shots fired," the deputy cries into his radio, his pace quickening as he rushes to assist his fellow deputies. 4 shots are fired, a second-long delay between each mechanical bark. "Where's he at?" the deputy cries. Then, when his question receives no response, he might have just... What should I make tomorrow for Din Din? Oh shit, probably low-carb burritos, maybe, or some shit. I saw at the grocery store they had like completely zero-carb burrito wraps, and I was like, what the fuck? And then they had ones made out of like completely out of cheese, and I was like, what the fuck again? What the flipper flop? I sound energized by tacos. Then, when his question receives no response, he realizes he might have just heard the sound of a third person losing their life to Smith. Without hesitation, the deputy rushes down another narrow passageway. When he sees his sergeant, alive and unharmed, the relief in his voice is palpable. "Sarge," he yells, "where's he at?" Both men climb a dividing wall between the yards of 2 homes, balancing themselves precariously in the hopes of spotting their fugitive suspect. Civilians begin emerging from their homes, alarmed at the sound of gunfire. The 2 deputies tensely order the innocent back into their homes. A minute passes, both officers climb over another adjoining wall. Then, in a brief but surreal moment of stark contrast, the 2 deputies, whose very lives are under threat, run past a bright pink children's playhouse. Yet just as they do, The sound of a woman yelling in a neighboring yard demands their attention. "He's right here," one of the deputies shouts, as he spots the cop killer Jeremy Smith. His voice burns with fear and anger. "Stop!" he yells. "Stop moving!" But Smith pays no heed. He turns, then begins running away from the furious deputy who opens fire on the fleeing killer. In the chaos, at least one of his bullets appears to have struck Smith, as following a The zero carbs made out of yoga mats. That's awesome. You can unroll them and do a downward dog on it. Haven't had a good chimichanga since we left Arizona. Damn. There's still time. You're gonna have to open up your own chimichanga stand and call it Queenetta Chimichanga. In the chaos, at least one of his bullets appears to have struck Smith, as following a swift pursuit, he is found lying among the dirt and gravel of an unfinished pathway, having collapsed after attempting to scale a wall. "You ain't moving," the deputy roars. "Now roll over! Roll over!" Smith appears to cry out in pain before claiming, "You ain't got nothing on me." Yet an instant later, a civilian appears to yell from his window off camera, "I got a gun right here, he just threw it over." As Smith is set upon by the two deputies, he once again cries out in pain. He begs them for mercy, claiming his arm is in an unbearable amount of pain. One of the deputies, aware that Smith has already murdered a police officer who tried helping him, tells Smith to shut up. Smith then claims, "I can't breathe," and then proceeds to take a deep breath before crying out in pain again. From one of Smith's pockets, the deputy retrieves a green-colored packet of what appears to be cigarettes, then asks his name. Smith refuses to answer the question and simply replies, "I ain't got nothing." But after the deputy retrieves his wallet, his identification is confirmed. Jeremy Alexander Smith, it reads. The deputies roll Smith over and sit him up. Blood trickles down from a wound to his mouth or from his mouth? Oh, you're in Pennsylvania? Nice, dude. We need a good chimichanga place around here. And that responsibility is going to fall on you. You may have just had chimichangas. I cannot confirm nor deny whether it was chimichangas that have entered my mouth hole. But let's just say I'm feeling pretty spicy. Lemon zest Italian chicken with cheese and mushrooms over fresh spinach with lemon juice is on point too, though. Zam. I think you need to shorten that title a little bit. A Jimmy's Changa Canadian edition. That would be good. It's just dessert chimichangas. You can't even eat food 90% of the time. Why? Are you too scared? You're in New York. Minecraft. Oh my god, I just got Minecraft. Blood trickles from a wound to his mouth, while a bullet wound to his left arm gives the dark fabric of his hoodie a glossy, gory sheen. Please, 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 Smith begs the Please, 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 Smith begs the officers, desperate for the kind of mercy he himself refused to bestow on both paramedic Phoenicia Machado IV and police officer Justin Hare, two people who dedicated their lives to helping others. The legal aftermath was swift and decisive, facing federal charges including carjacking resulting in death and discharging a firearm during a crime of violence. Smith was eventually charged with several counts. The weight of the evidence, including dash cam and body cam footage, left little room for doubt. In January of 2025, He pled guilty, accepting a sentence of life imprisonment without the possibility of parole. The courtroom was filled with law enforcement officers there to honor Justin Hare, a man who had uttered his last words offering help to the man who would take his life. His family, particularly his parents, Jimmy and Terry Hare, spoke of the void left in their lives, of the grandchildren who would grow up without their father, and of the community that had lost. Sorry. Minecraft. Minecraft. I just played a game of Minecraft. Did you know when you mix sand and fire, you create glass in Minecraft? Okay. His family, particularly his parents, Jim and Terry Hare, spoke of the void left in their lives, of the grandchildren who would grow up without their father, and of the community that had lost a true protector. May he, and all other officers who make the ultimate sacrifice while heeding the call of duty, rest in deep and everlasting peace. You made some food. What did you make? Boy, you never played mine. Yeah, I have. I know that if a villager gets a little too horny, you just have to squeeze his stupid nose. Shut him up. Wait, what's the other song? Have you ever had hot pie? Pot pie. Oh yeah, I've had pot pie before. Thick dough noodles topped with vinegar, it's more pie. Yeah, I definitely had that for sure. I feel like somebody in my family has made it. I've had shepherd's pie. Not as frequently as pot pie though, but it's some good shit. Looking up the news article. Yeah, it's sad. Played any of the Arkham games? I have. Yeah, the first one, Arkham Asylum. That was amazing. I loved that when that came out. And then I think I played some of the one after that where it's like in the city, but I got it like way later when it was like super cheap on the Xbox 360, and I just don't think I finished it, even though I do earnestly agree that they are great games. And I think it's cool that some like fighting mechanic systems of other games kind of adopted that, like obviously the Lord of the Rings, Shadow of Mordor. Do I play Fortnite? I don't know. I just don't like battle royales. I hate the idea of like dropping in, collecting shit, and then just dying, and then having to like wait for. I mean, obviously it's pretty quick queues, but just waiting around for more to go die again. I'm so surprised they haven't made another PUBG, like a PUBG 2 by this point. You know what I mean? Dude looks like a POS like I imagined it to be. Yeah, what's his name again? Mr. Poop? Well, I won't even look him up, but... Oh, have you played Scum, your favorite zombie game? I've heard of Scum. It seems like there's so many games. I think I'm pretty well done with like just competitive stuff, because like Marvel Rivals drove me to insanity. And then recently I heard there was a new Overwatch season that was bringing back 6v6. So I signed on thinking they had moved back to 6v6, but then it was just 5v5. And it was just miserable. Like, one tank is just so fucking unbelievably miserable, and they're not doing 6v6 till like mid-season, so you just have to wait around for dog shit gameplay. I don't even really... I mean, I get they're like getting people used to the perks and stuff and gathering data on that or whatever, but I mean, just fucking like get back to the old shit and just fix it as you go. Like, who gives a shit? Okay, let's read the outro, shall we? Shall we? What are you guys doing tomorrow? You guys sleeping in on a Thursday? What fucking day is it? You going to work? You going to work for the man? Can you guys believe it that like some thousandaires don't pay any taxes? You have reading week, so no class. Interesting. What's reading week? That sounds miserable. In January, because of a job, I ended up with two 2-pound bags of French onions. I'm down to 1 1/4 bags. Sounds pretty good. Working on art commissions. Nice. That's cool. Do you have your art on your YouTube? Can I look at it? Can I take a peek? The profile picture looks cool if that's like your art. You gotta separate the fart from the fartist. I should do a rival stream now. Dude, I'm not joking when I say that game is dog shit. It's terribly designed. Healers are the only thing that matters in that game, but then the only way to kill them was with like equally bullshit melee heroes. The game sucks. It is complete poop. Oh, it is? Oh, yeah. That's a cool... I like that art style in your PFP there. Joel, it's been great, but my eyes will not stay up. Everyone have a great night. Stay safe and warm. Thank you, Wendy. Take care. Yeah, I'm just reading this outro, and we'll get you guys out of here. No worries. Thanks for hanging out. Hey, friends. Thanks for listening. Click that notification bell to be alerted of all future narrations. I release new videos every Monday and Thursday at 9 p.m. EST, and there are super fun live streams on Sundays and Wednesday nights. If you got a story, be sure to submit them over at my email at letsreadsubmissions@gmail.com, and maybe even hear your story featured on the next video. And if you want to support me even more, grab early access to all future narrations and bonus content over on Patreon, or click that big join button to hear about the extra perks for members of the channel. And check out the Let's Read podcast, where you can hear all of these stories in big compilations located anywhere you listen to podcasts. All links in the description below. Thanks so much, friends. And remember to wash y'all cracks. Actually, it would be pretty funny. Thanks so much, friends. And remember to wash y'all's cracks. Oh my god, that one's gonna be good. We'll see what the comments are in the video. Wash y'all's crackses. The thing in Human Torch coming out the 21st. I did see that. I mean, they looked fun, but they looked OP as shit, and just like, it's one of those things where it's like, I get it. If every character's OP, nothing's OP or whatever, but it's just like, I don't know. Just how much like absolute infuriation I feel with that game far, far, far exceeds the anger that Overwatch would give me. So I'm like, you know what? I recognize an unhealthy habit early. Let's get out of this crack house before it turns into a crack home. You know what I mean? Vanilla Twilight, thank you for joining the Buttersock call. You now have access to bonus content. Okay, guys. But before we go, perhaps you guys would like a little sweet treat in the chat. Oh shit, boom, look at that, 10 gifters from me. I'm my biggest fan. But welcome to Punky, Effin' Don, Sheila Taylor, Christnopolis. Hey, there's Christnopolis, long time no see. Josephine Stokes, Jessica, Brown Eyed Girl, John Keller, Emily Jane, and Elisa. Welcome, friends. Much love to you guys. Appreciate you. I'll go ahead and get this edited up over on Patreon. It's only $1 a month over there for early access. That is funny. Yeah, some of you guys like are in here all the time. You never get gifted. It should allow you to like click on someone's name and like gift them directly. That'd be nice, because then I could like put people's names in or something, and then like spin a wheel and gift people. But anyways, I'll be back. I'll get that up on YouTube tomorrow, or today rather, 9 p.m. EST, and then I'll be back streaming probably this weekend. What's the crack? Be sure to wipe it. Alright, dudes. Love you, appreciate you, and I'll see you soon. Bye-bye. Follow my Instagram at letsread.official and hit that notification bell. Alright, bye-bye.